Hello, we are the Evil Squid Comics Podcast. I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
And Scott, our third, is going to be a little late. So hopefully he will get here in 30 minutes, maybe?
30 minutes.
Depending on what time it is now, which I don't know what time it is.
Maybe.
Alright, but anyway, we have plenty to talk about before then.
Lots of stuff.
Alright, and we are the Evil Squid Comics Podcast, which I already said, and every week we try and get together and talk about comic books. We talk about a lot of the comic books that we've read, because we just read them, and so it kind of makes sense. But anyway, feel free to comment with any questions or topics you would like discussed.
Yeah, we're live.
In our comment section. I don't know if we will see them, but they're right there.
We've never got one.
Yeah, that's true. I think we've had comments, but they weren't questions. So, anyway, what do you got this week? You want to do some... So you want to talk about something? What
do you want to do what's in the box? Because we got our...
Oh, that's true. We did get our shipment. I got a ton of stuff in my box. Apparently not as much as you.
Not as much as me. My box weighed like 31 pounds.
Wow. And that was only $6 to ship.
More?
No,
like $7.
Maybe $7. But still, relatively cheap.
Oh, yeah.
I got Axel #1. This is a new superhero series from Lion Forge publisher. They have a whole line called Catalyst Prime. It looked kind of cool. It's a new superhero. I thought it might be cool, and I also thought my son, who's 11, might like it. And it's written by Joe Casey, who is a fairly well-known comic book writer. And so I thought, hey, we'll check it out.
I didn't buy that.
I got The Few, #6.
I got that.
Black Hammer, #10.
I got that.
Black Monday Murders, #6.
I got that.
Royal City, #4.
Got that.
Trespassers, which is another one of the Alterna Comics $1.50 newsprint books.
I didn't get that.
The Damned, #2, which they undercharged me for.
Yeah.
By about $3, so that worked out pretty nice.
Yeah, because mine said like a quarter for #2 also.
Yeah.
Because the first one was like...
It was $1, and then it was like 65 cents with the discount, and then this one was the same.
Yeah.
I got Quantum Teens Are Go, #4. That's the last issue. Thank God.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that.
Stray Bullets, 24. Still buying Stray Bullets?
Oh, yeah.
Red Line, #4. This series is kind of on the fence about. Extremity, #4.
I bought that.
There we go, 4. Reborn, 6. I think this is the end.
I bought that.
Outcast, 28.
Bought that.
Birthright, 25.
Ditto.
Copperhead. Maybe I'll put these in front. Copperhead,
No.
#14. Green Valley, #9. That's the end of that bad boy.
Yep.
Helena Crash, #4. That's the end of that bad boy.
Nope.
Man, I got a lot of series into. Mother Russia, another Alterna Press.
Now I got the Kickstarter.
Scrimshaw, another one.
Nope.
Paper Girls, #15. That book is going to go forever, I think.
Yep.
Birthright, #24. I already said #25 because I got 2 issues somehow. Heartthrob, Season 2, #1. You buying that?
I don't think so.
Did you buy the first series?
I don't think so.
Alright, it's pretty good. Horizon, #something. Can't read it from here.
Probably
12.
That.
I Hate Fairylands.
I got the other cover.
13. The I Effin' Hate Fairyland?
Yeah.
Or what's it called?
It's
or
just
F
called
Fairyland.
Fairyland.
I got The Chair, #1, another
Oh.
Alterna Comics one. Elephant Man, #77. There are only 3 more issues of Elephant Man after this.
Nope.
Nam Wolf, #3, I think. I don't know how many issues of Nam Wolf there are. I think there's 4. And then I got this awesome book, Tarantula.
Oh my God, you got that?
By Alexis Zirrit, and Fabian Rangel Jr. Yes, I'm very excited about reading that.
I missed that.
Alexis has a really cool art style, and we're excited because he's going to be a guest at Air Capital Comic Con. This book is kind of like a throwback type. It's got really kind of old style coloring, and it really complements his art really well. It's pretty cool. I like it quite a bit. So anyway,
damn it,
that is good.
I saw that was out.
I got some other stuff too, but it was mostly stuff for my kids. But some of it I want to read as well. Time Shifters by Chris Grind came out, which I got. Newts by Doug TenNapel, book 3 came out. And another Plants vs. Zombies comic, which I will not read, but my kids love that series.
I got probably way too much stuff, but the big purchases, I got the Lock and Key Master Edition, hardcover volume 3.
You have 2?
Yeah, I wanted to.
Cool.
I was waiting for 3 to come out forever, and didn't realize it
It's already come out. Is that the whole thing then? 1, 2, and 3?
I think so. 'Cause there were 6. I think.
6 trades. Yeah.
And then they have like other stuff like offshoots.
Yeah, they had some.
I got Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye trade paperback.
Oh, cool.
Because that has all the
Tom Sholey stuff.
Yeah, it has all the Tom Sholey stuff in the back.
Yeah, I was buying it in single issues, but I felt like the 2 pages of Tom Sholey was not worth the rest of the book.
Yeah.
It's okay though. You'll probably like it.
I bought
You're
it
kind of a DC
for the
guy.
Sholey stuff, but
that's cool.
I got the Goon Library hardcover volume 5.
Oh, I think I need to. I still need to order volume 2. I'm way behind.
I still need 4.
Oh.
I have 1, 2, 3, and now I have 5.
Why did you buy 5 before 4?
Because they solicited 5 and it was 40% off.
I'll tell you a trick. You can go into, if you, let's say you have your order up, right? You're doing your order on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into the search, you can search for backlisted stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's still 40% off.
Yeah.
And if it's Dark Horse, and you can search for it and add it to your cart, and you can be part of your monthly order even if it's not solicited that month. Figured that out a while back.
Hey, Dark Knight 3 Master Race number 9 of 9 finally came out.
Oh, I ordered the hardcover of that this last month.
I don't think I can't remember if I had it in my thing.
How much are those issues? Just out of curiosity.
Too much.
No, I'm curious.
They are $5.99.
See, the hardcover, which has all 9 issues, it was like $25.
I know.
I'm like, wow, that's a bargain compared to how much the single issues are.
I didn't want to double dip on it.
No, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying I feel good, proud of myself that I waited because I saved a ton of money.
I probably did order it. I can't remember if I did or not, but I don't think I did because I was like, I'm not gonna double dip.
No, I wouldn't double dip. I don't think the hardcover's anything special. I'm sure it's just like a crappy, crappy paper.
But yeah, it's cheap. It's a cheap way to read it.
Yeah.
I agree. I got the Lobo Roadrunner special, number 1.
Lobo Roadrunner.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds cool. I wish I'd seen that.
They did like 5 or 6
Looney Tune one shot
yeah. The reason I bought the Lobo Roadrunner is because Kelly Jones did the artwork.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I got. Kill the Minotaur number 1.
I did not order that. Looks alright though.
I got the Astounding Wolfman Complete Collection hardcover.
Oh, you got that today?
Yeah.
I would want to borrow that when you're done. I'd like to read it.
Alright, so in like a couple of years?
Yeah, probably. Just read it tonight and then bring it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just read it tonight.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see how many. I think I got at least 2 issues of Secret Empire. I had one more. Oh, yeah, I got the Time Shifters.
Yeah.
The hardcover. I guess that's it. I had like 2 huge books, like a trade, another hardcover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff, man.
Cool. Yeah, that's kind of how my last month was. It just kind of ebbs and flows. I was already starting to do my order for this next month, July. It's going to be pretty slim. I think I might have enough money in my budget to pick up a couple. I'm going to pick up another Goon Library because I'm behind on those.
Yeah.
And I might start getting Fables and hardcovers because I've always wanted to pick up the hardcover deluxes of those.
I always find tons of crap to buy. They're starting a new Batman.
Is it that dark metal thing?
Yes.
You going to get in on that?
I don't know, probably. Because I probably already ordered Dark Knight Metal number 1 because 2 and 3 are solicited in this previews.
Yeah.
They're doing these foils stamped embossed with UV coating.
Wow.
Did you see that?
You should totally get that.
No, but did you read this
No,
page?
I did not.
They're, these DCs, they said that these special covers take a lot longer to produce, so we're going to advance solicit them so that we can get the special covers.
Yeah.
Retards.
Okay.
Then I was looking at the hardcovers. Dude, DC hardcovers are like way crazy. Like, did you see like some of the collections they have?
Well, they had a bunch of absolutes. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I don't think they were absolutes.
Okay.
They had the Wildcats thing.
That's an absolute.
It's not an absolute, is it?
Yeah, it's an absolute. That's why it's like $125.
Oh, is that why it was so expensive?
Yeah, they solicited like 3 absolutes this month. It's like ridiculous.
Okay.
There's like 2 Wonder Woman absolutes, and then there was a Wildcats absolute.
Yeah, like.
They're probably in the trade section, collector edition.
I didn't see that they were.
Yeah, they're absolute.
Hey, look, it's another unwrapped Batman book.
Yeah, they'll keep putting those out as long as suckers like you keep buying them.
I don't buy that. I haven't bought one single black and
As long
white.
as suckers keep buying them, they'll keep making them.
I
There
didn't-
it is, Absolute Wildcats.
Oh, it's absolute.
It's not even complete. It's only like goes to issue 13 or something. So it doesn't even have all the like Alan Moore or Chris Claremont stuff. Now, if they did like an omnibus of that, I might be interested. If it had
Yeah.
like
Okay.
everything, like 50 issues or something, that would be cool.
I didn't see it was an absolute. I was wondering how the hell they were charging $125 for 600-page hardcover.
It's Absolute.
Oh, they're doing the Justice League of America, the Detroit era omnibus.
I almost thought about getting that trade. Are you buying that? The Wild Storm?
I'm not, but I heard good things.
I mean, it's
about
Warren Ellis.
it. Okay, and the Wonder Woman was absolute too.
Correct.
All
Yeah.
right. I was wondering why this stuff. I didn't read it.
Generally speaking, DC's hardcovers are fairly economical. I mean, they're usually
Yeah.
pretty good value. The paper they print them on is crap. by the
Except
way.
for this, the Sebastian O and the Mystery Play Deluxe Edition hardcover,
Yeah, it's a deluxe edition, yeah.
$30
That's pretty good.
for 168 pages.
Yeah, it seems a little steep.
I have the Sebastian O.
Okay.
It's by Grant Morrison.
So you probably won't be buying the hardcover?
Oh, I'm not going to buy that.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I was just surprised that they were collecting it. They're running.
Are we transitioning to previews? Because that's kind of cool.
I don't care.
I didn't know we were going to talk about previews. but
Well, I was just curious.
all of a
'cause-
sudden you are, so there's a couple things I wanted to talk about in previews.
Well, you had mentioned that it was going to be a slow month. Oh, and did you know that it's Harley Quinn's 25th anniversary? Can you
No.
believe that she's been around that long?
That's hard for me to believe, actually.
They have like a 25th anniversary Harley Quinn hardcover thingy.
Are you gonna buy these Star Wars adventure comics?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna get them for my kids.
I doubt it.
The only thing that I thought was weird. Okay, so the tagline is all ages adventures featuring your favorite Star Wars characters by your favorite creators. Here are the creators of issues 1 and 2: Cavan Scott and Derek Charn. Have you heard of either of those people?
No, they're not.
Whose favorite creators
they're
are
not,
those?
They're not my favorite creators.
I don't know.
And that's who they're coming out the gate with.
Yeah, which I mean, let me say that the art actually looks cool. It's got a really cool, like, cartoony style to it, which I think would play really well with kind of an all-ages Star Wars thing. So, I mean, the art looks great, and the writing may be great, too. I'm just saying, I haven't heard of these guys, so I don't know why they're billing them as my favorite creators. That's all. The book looks good.
They could be the favorite creator that you don't know about.
That's very possible, but then they want to be my favorite. That's all I'm saying.
They're your favorite unknown.
Favorite unknown. And then there are some
Favorite
interesting
unknown creator.
there's some interesting books this month. The one I wanted to talk about real quick, Dynamite Entertainment. Now, if anybody's a fan of Dynamite Entertainment, I apologize because I'm not a big fan of them. I kind of think they're sort of a low rent company or whatever. But anyway, so this time, low rent.
They just do
Anyway.
a bunch of.
This is what they're licensing into a comic now.
They're just doing a bunch of. They just do.
Fruit Ninja, #1. Fruit Ninja is the iPad, iPhone game where you like swipe your finger to slice up fruit. I'm sure everybody's played it at least twice, and then you realize, that was fun. Okay, cool. But hey, that needs its own comic book. And here's their thing. It says, based on the hit mobile game downloaded by over 1 billion players worldwide. I don't think 1 billion people downloaded that. That's a lot.
I'm sure they did.
1 billion?
And played it twice.
All right. Anyway,
Have you? They turned Candy Crush into an actual game show on TV.
I understand.
Like live action.
But I mean, who is the audience for this Fruit Ninja comic? I don't know. I mean, I don't even know anybody who even. I mean,
I tell you who's not the audience.
there's Angry Birds comics, and I get that because Angry Birds has had like a movie, and they've really licensed and marketed their stuff a lot. Fruit Ninja, I don't see a lot of merchandise for Fruit Ninja, so I'm not sure that they need their own comic books. But hey, Dynamite thought so.
I will tell you who is not the audience.
You?
People who buy the Divided States of Hysteria.
That's true.
Those people are not buying the Fruit Ninja comic.
You'd be surprised.
No, I bet not one
I don't think
person.
anybody's buying the Divided States of Hysteria anymore because I think Howard Chaykin has made everybody angry and alienated
you know what?
90% of the comic book audience at least.
They're
Oh, and then also Dynamite is putting out Yoga Hosers one shot by Kevin Smith. Did you ever see Yoga Hosers?
No. Oh, I heard
It's
about
Kevin
that
Smith's movie
terrible
with
movie.
his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter.
I heard it wasn't good.
It wasn't good, but I watched it. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It had I mean, it was almost fun to watch just in a train wreck kind of, wow, this is very interesting that they made this movie type of thing. But yeah, that needs, at least Kevin Smith is writing it. So you got that going for you.
Which is nice.
That is nice. Of course, I don't know what else he's doing these days, so he might as well be. I think those are the main two things that kind of jumped out at me. The Fruit Ninja comic,
I didn't really get to delve into my previews that much.
I've been through it a couple times already. I'm pretty fast. When I get previews, I'm like, previews.
I had other stuff going on.
I'm pretty anxious about previews.
I had other stuff going on.
Fine. Yeah. Oh, here's another one. Okay. So, Boom is putting out this book. It's called Bad Mask OGN.
That's an original graphic novel.
For you non-speaking comic book people.
OGN.
Alright, so it says it's pushing the boundaries of comic storytelling by having it's like a multimedia approach. So there's a trading card set that goes with it, and it's like a news magazine type thing, and a battle book. It's I don't know if it all comes with this OGN or not, but it's $40. It doesn't tell you how many pages it's, but it says their first multimedia project. So if you have an OGN, it's a new IP, okay? Mm-hmm. It's $40. Who's going to jump into that at $40? The creator is John Chad. Maybe he's a big name, but
what are they going to do? They're going to break some boundaries?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in for $40.
For $40, you're in. Okay.
It was breaking some. Oh, look, it works.
That's what they said. They're breaking in. So, yeah. What else? But I just think if you're gonna jump in with a new IP, maybe not make the entry price $40. That's all. Even if it is breaking.
How many pages is it?
It doesn't actually say.
Oh well, there you go. That's awesome.
And I'm not sure. All digital. I'm not sure if all this stuff comes with it.
Our first multimedia project.
Now, John Chad, he might be famous doing other stuff. I know he's not a super famous comic book guy, but maybe he's a famous artist or designer, graphic designer or something. I don't know. I'm not in the know as I should be on that. But, like I say, it's...
Advance listed for November, too.
Yeah, so you gotta pay 8 months in advance.
It's not 8 months away.
4 or 5 months in advance. Yeah. But anyway.
It's a multimedia project, though.
I know. That's what I don't know.
Oh. You should order it just to find out.
I'm not going to. Oh, and our buddy Jai Nitz has a new series through Aftershock Comics. This actually looks pretty cool. It's called Fujitsu. I saw a blurb about it a while back. It sounds kind of a funny, kind of lighthearted, but kind of fun sort of kung fu type take thing. Mm-hmm. So might check that out if you're a Jai Nitz.
They're bringing Samurai Jack back.
Like the cartoon or the book?
The book. Well, the cartoon already came back, but they're doing another comic.
Gotcha.
And your buddy, Fabian Rangel Jr. is writing it.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Why is he my buddy? I like Fabian. He's a cool guy.
I'm just trying to get you some Fabian Rangel love, dude. Let's say it over the air that you're his buddy, and maybe he'll...
I've never even spoken to him.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I like his work, though.
Yeah.
I haven't read much by him, but all of a sudden I'm getting all sorts of stuff by him. Mostly because he works with Alexis.
That I miss Tarantula.
I am getting Namwolf, which is written by him, which I'm enjoying. So I guess I've just discovered Fabian.
I'm really upset that I missed Tarantula.
Well, I bet you can still get it.
I better be able to.
Because it is a hardcover. It's not like it's a single issue or anything.
I was going to order it up.
That's all I really got for the previews, I think.
Man, that's a steal, too. It's only $14.95.
It's pretty cheap. It's a small hardcover, but it's still hardcover.
Yeah, but it's a hardcover. It's got to be at least 60 pages.
At least.
At least. It's probably more.
I think it's more than that.
It's probably 90.
At least.
1,000.
At least 1,000 pages.
1,000 million?
It's not the quantity, it's the quality. And that's what I always say. Alright, so we should probably talk about some things that we read. What have you been reading, sir?
Atlantis Attacks.
Okay, first of all, why would you... Is it as... Okay, I did read that recently. Because we both bought the omnibus 5 years ago. I'm way more caught up than Don is on his reading, and so I got to it 3 years ago. Don, it's actually been 5 years, and he's finally cracking it. You're almost done with your bookmark.
I'm done, but then back that part about the Saga of the Crown.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, where
Like
it tells
the
like his
9-part
backstory.
yeah.
That is hard to get through.
Yeah. Well, I have. Let's see. I have 30 pages in the book left.
Are you gonna make it?
I probably will finish it.
Because I don't know if I made it through the back matter with the origin. Because I was like, dude, I'm so out. I might have just tapped out at that point. But that's cool if you can finish. But I think I remember the artist on that being pretty good. Who does the art on the backstory?
Mark Bagley.
Yeah, it is.
He
Bagley.
does all of it.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I sort of tried. But
It's not really Bagley though. Like it's early Bagley. Like
it's not that
it's
early.
good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's just not your. It's not your standard Bagley. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
But he does have little hints where he pops out, but the majority of it's not. Okay, so for like all the young people that aren't like old people like us that haven't been reading comics forever,
Yeah.
Atlantis Attacks. Back in the old days, Marvel used to do their big summer event.
And they did it in their annuals.
They did in their annuals. So
For those people who don't know what an annual is, every year, a series, like let's say Spider-Man comes out every month. Every year they do an annual issue. It would have like maybe a special story or a special artist or a special team. It'd be like a 64-page like monster book that would be a double price.
You know how much the 64... This is 1989. This is when this event happened.
Yeah.
You know how much their 64-page annual was in $19.89? $1.99.
$1.99.
No, I'm sorry, $2.
$2.
Yeah, it's really weird. It was $2.
$2.
64 pages. This was really cool because, like, okay, so it's a story that runs.
So what they would do is they'd do all the annuals would have a story that ran through it that tied into all the books. So when you put all the annuals together, it would tell one continuous story that was, well, not really continuous, but each hero would like have their little role in the bigger story.
Right. So this goes through. Should we read everything?
Read the whole book, Don. Just sit down and read the whole
It
book.
goes through Silver Surfer Annual #2.
Well, it goes through all the books that are coming out.
Iron Man
You don't have to
Annual.
read them all. That's not necessary.
And then they threw in like an Avengers West Coast #56, like a few pages out of that. And then Marvel Comics Presents #26.
Let's had some times.
The X-Men Annual.
You don't have to read all the books. It went through all those books. That were
Punisher
coming out at that
Annual.
time.
The
Yeah.
Punisher Annual story was really cool. Okay, so basically, and there were some really cool artists in this, like
There
Ron
were.
Lim.
If only they had a good story.
Ron, it's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's not. It really wasn't that bad.
Maybe what was? Oh, the High Evolutionary one.
Oh, I'm sure that one's terrible.
That one's pretty bad.
I have the.
Atlantis Attacks was the first one, right? That came out before the Evolutionary.
Maybe
one?
I don't know. It seems really early for like 80. I mean, it seems 89 is a while ago, so I don't know. But like the first one is Silver Surfer, and Ron Lim does the art because he was drawn Silver Surfer back then, and that art's really pretty cool. Like it was really good. So it was just kind of cool to like read. It was really kind of neat to read where all of the characters were at that point.
Let me interrupt a second. If you're at home, go get your Atlantis Attacks Omnibus off your shelf like I did, and you can follow along.
I have a different cover.
I'm sure you do.
I
Anyway,
like
sorry.
that
Just
cover.
so we'll give you like 5 seconds. Go run, get your Atlantis Attacks Omnibus. Come back.
I'm not going through it page by page.
you're not? Okay.
No, but it was really cool to like see where all the books were at that time, like to remember like what was going on. It was just kind of cool. And then this is right before Submariner gets his own series, the John Byrne one.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. So anyway,
Evolutionary War was before Atlantis Attacks.
really,
Yes.
when was Evolution? Was that 88?
Well, it says X-Men Annual number 12, and this one has X-Men Annual number 13.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they got better.
I think
Their
Evolutionary
events
War
go
was
on.
better than Atlantis Attacks.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
I'll read that for the next podcast.
Yeah, why don't you do
I'll
that?
read the Evolutionary War. Okay, so basically, there's this Crown of Set, which is basically, and it's been in the Marvel universe like before this, it was like a thing, but I'm not very familiar with it because I don't know that I ever read any of the stories with the Crown of Set. I think there was a one because they referenced it. Didn't Ben Grimm like wear it one time or
You
something?
didn't read that story?
I don't think I read it.
It was like it ran
that
like
before
more
this?
2 in 1. Oh yeah. Wait.
Okay. All right. So there's this Crown of Set, which is the basis of the story. So there's like, and it got really confusing because you have, I can't keep them all straight. You had like the Atlanteans, You had like the Lemurians. Are there Attillans too? There's like 2 or 3 different like water breathing creatures, and I was never really into Submariner. So a lot of that fell off, but it has like a Tuma, or I think it's a Tuma. But anyway, sorry. I keep saying, so the basic of the story of Atlantis Attacks is there's this other big villain. His name is Gar. It's like Gahur or whatever. But anyway, he wants to bring this crown of Set. It will bring back the god of Set like to the earth, and the way you bring him back is like with this crown. So anyway, the whole thing is he's setting up the Lemurians against the Atlanteans, and so he's got this whole thing going, and he has to. The crown of Set has 7 heads because the god Set is like it's like a hydra. It has 7 snake heads, so he has to have 7 brides, one marry each of the heads to bring it back, and so he ends up kidnapping like Storm. Sue Richards, Dagger, She-Hulk, Scarlet Witch. I'm almost there. That's 5. I can't remember if I can remember.
You get Dagger?
No. Yeah, I had Dagger. Oh, that lady, that's like, and then Jean Grey. And there's like a blue lady, like she's like Atuma's daughter or someone's daughter.
Something.
So anyway, that's the whole big bad story. So it runs through all these annuals, and then like you have Namor jumps in, and Iron Man jumps in, and then at the end of it, all of the Avengers are basically there. And at this point, you had your Avengers and you had your West Coast Avengers, and like at this point in time, Vision. Like I didn't read Avengers at this point, but like Vision had gone through some weird thing where he was the white, like all white, and he was like all more of a cyborg. And so
yeah.
Like,
so what happened was he got taken apart and then disassembled, and they reassembled him. When they reassembled him, they didn't have his personality, so he lost all his memories, and he didn't have his personality anymore. Because his original personality was based on Wonder Man, right?
Right. Yeah.
And Wonder Man didn't want to give his personality back to have it imprinted because Vision was married to Scarlet Witch. Well, it turned out Wonder Man was in love with Scarlet Witch too, and so he didn't want to give the personality back to Vision because he was in love with her.
Yeah. So. You have Vision, so Scarlet Witch is still his wife, and they're going to rescue him, and Vision's like, I don't really care. He's like, I'll rescue her, but I don't have any feelings for her.
Yeah, he's kind of an unfeeling robot.
And then, like in the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm had mysteriously turned back into human form, and Miss Marvel turned into, I don't know which iteration or whatever of Miss Marvel it is. But she actually turned Rocky, and so she's like a member of the Fantastic Four. So she is the Thing. And then, but it's weird because like Ben Grimm has like a rock suit built for him, and so he walks around like the Thing, but it's all a suit. And then also the original Torch had just returned onto the scene. They had brought him back, so you have the Human Torch and you have the Torch from like the
50s.
World War II from the 40s. So yeah, it's pretty much just a way to get you to it's like Secret Empire right
spend
now.
like $30 on a bunch of annuals.
But the thing of it is, it flowed pretty well. Like I thought that most of it was relevant. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
like most of it was relevant to the story. You weren't getting a bunch of like just. It pops up for like 1 second or whatever. But then I'll ruin it. So then the way the big bad
But look at all the words on these pages, people. Look at those words. You can barely see the art behind all those words.
The way they ended it was. Oh, you had Quasar too. Quasar was in the picture. So
yeah,
I think
they were really pushing Quasar.
I think it was like Doctor Strange. Which is funny because, like, everybody's dead at this point. Like, Doctor Strange was everybody thought Doctor Strange was dead. This was the point where everybody thought that all the X-Men were dead. So, like, the X-Men are off the table. I mean, they're not dead, but to the world, everybody thought they were dead. Because that was a funny thing at the end. They were, like, trying to figure out who all the 7 brides were. And they're like, there's someone else. And then they find them, and they're like, who is that? It looks kind of like Storm. But isn't she dead? And I don't know at this point that the X-Men had a whole, because I don't know that they had a whole lot of involvement with the Marvel Universe. Like, well, I guess Secret Wars had happened, so they pretty much did, but
I would like to say that this is the first X-Men annual since, like, I started buying X-Men comics that was just downright horrible.
That was the one with the switch. And it was, I think Paul Smith do the artwork?
No, Mike Vosberg did the artwork.
Oh, yeah, Mike Vosberg.
Terry Austin wrote it.
It's the one where they did the switch where Dazzler and, oh crap, who was it? Dazzler and...
Psylocke.
No, I think it...
Oh, Diamondback.
Diamondback, yeah. They switched
and how did
personalities.
Diamondback get in the X-Men annual? She was a Captain America character.
Because they switched personalities, and so they had to go find this guy to switch him back. So they went on like this interdimensional like thing to get, because Diamondback was in Dazzler's body and Dazzler was in Diamondback's body.
Before the annual?
Yeah, because that's Diamondback in Dazzler's body hitting on Wolverine. I don't know what happened before the annual. Or they explained it in there that guy did it, so they had to switch. They had to go find this evil guy that did it and force him to switch him back.
Gotcha.
But it was kind of interesting.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I thought it was fairly horrible. As I said, it seems like later on you would buy an annual or a book and it would have like 2 pages to do with it. You know, like even like the recent stuff like Secret Invasion and stuff, where they'd be like, oh, this book ties in, and you'd have like 1 page. It just seemed like everything that they had in this portrayed to the book. It wasn't a lot of filler to the story. I agree. It was fairly... It did flow, as in each annual really did contribute to the story, except for that X-Men annual, which had nothing to do with the story.
Yeah. And then... But there was... To me, it was more of a nostalgia factor, just because... And it was cool to, like, see the artists at the time, and see the way that the comic books were made at the time.
And you get to see Scott Williams ink Mark Texeira on the Punisher, which is really weird looking.
Yeah.
He almost makes Mark Texeira look like Will Sportatio or something.
Yes.
Like, how do you... There it looks like Mark Texeira, but like a lot of stuff, it's like, man, it's amazing how much an inker can make a difference.
Yes.
Well, it's weird, because Mark Texeira started inking Javier Chalters on Ghost Rider, and that's where the style really kind of... So I think Mark Texeira needs to either ink other people or ink himself. I don't think he needs an inker.
Yeah, I guess I enjoyed it. I mean, it kept my interest for 500 pages. I mean, I read the damn thing. So.
I remember just tearing my eyes out.
I didn't. I had a better. I enjoyed it better.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you were able to get into it. Sometimes it's just your mindset too.
That's true.
You get into the right mindset to kind of get.
I probably read this over a month.
Yeah, well, I did too. Because I think the way I got through it is like on my lunch break I would read, and so like. While I'm like eating my lunch at my desk, I would just crack open my Atlantis Attacks, and every day I'd read like for a half hour. Maybe get through 2 issues. Probably just an issue a day. So it probably took me like a couple weeks.
I'm gonna have to crack open the Evolutionary War now.
It's shorter. Look how much thinner it is.
It is shorter.
So you got that going for you,
which is nice. So did they? Is that annuals too then?
Yes.
That runs through all the annuals. How long did they do that?
Oh my god!
Like how many of them were there?
Well, I think there were only like 2 or 3 that actually went through all of them. Then they started breaking into like four
3 or 4
story sections, because I think they figured out that trying to make the story drag out through that many annuals was just difficult to make a story with that scope that actually worked. I mean, they did a fairly good job on these, but I don't know. It's like a chapter in the book. It's like 12 chapters in a book, but yet every chapter has different characters, so it's kind of weird. And then the last chapter, everything comes together.
Yeah, everything came together.
But to me, it just always felt like they were just dragging the story out. You know what I mean? Like it just felt intentionally dragged out to fill 12 annuals or whatever it is.
Yeah, because there was a point where it's like they're gathering the brides, and then it just kind of fell flat. Like nothing happened. And I'm like, there's like, I keep looking. I'm like, oh, there's 3 more annuals. I'm like, how are they gonna wrap this up? And it's just like, but.
Yeah. Oh, Scott's here, but he missed the fun.
I missed fun
of the Atlantis attacks.
You didn't miss anything.
You didn't miss anything.
You're getting ready to have some fun though.
I
When I
missed
talk about the next book.
all
we'll
the
talk
fun.
about.
Oh, Mr. Right?
No, not well.
Oh.
No, I'm talking about this
How
one.
are we spoiling
great.
things?
All right. Scott has some stuff he was going to
You're
talk
not
about.
spoiling.
Are you just talking about Chew this
Sir.
week?
There was a Saga 2, I think,
Saga
as well.
There is a Saga.
Yes.
There's your
Saga
book, sir.
2.
Ooh. Sweet.
Well, you can talk about something because we just listened to Don. Don talking about Atlantis attacks. I need to wake up.
You need to wake up.
You could do.
Because he told the whole story?
No,
or
I
something?
didn't.
You did.
I did, but look how thick that book is, and I did it in like 30 minutes.
Sweet.
No.
I don't know that I have that
did it
much
in, like,
to
10
talk
minutes.
about.
Thought
Did
you
you
like.
read AD After
I haven't
Death?
read that. Is it good?
Yeah, sure.
Is it good?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the book.
Did you read Curse Words?
No, I'm not caught up on that.
Okay, I want to
did.
talk about Savage Dragon.
I did read that.
All right, so
Ooh,
a few
Savage
issues
Dragon.
ago, Eric Larson realized that the only people reading his book were like 40-year-olds, and he's like, "So why am I like toning down like the sex and the violence in my book?" Which he really wasn't toning down that much, but apparently he's not toning it down at all anymore.
He was toning it down.
He was. It didn't really
You
seem
didn't
that
realize
toned down.
it.
Yeah.
Until he
Didn't tone it down. So he's pretty much, gone full bore or whatever. So
No,
there's
it's
lots
all
of
just
blood.
sex and violence, huh?
And like, second page he's like, "Here comes the motherfucking cavalry, boys and girls." Sorry, I keep my voice down. 'cause
so
I'm
lots
choking.
of cursing and everything
Cursing.
else.
MFers.
And we also found out that, what's the girl's name?
I.
Malcolm Dragon's wife apparently does not wear underwear around the house. Because at one point she gets knocked around and her shirt flies up and yeah, see, there you go.
Well, she's
Okay.
She's like a sex maniac.
She is a sex maniac, I agree, but she doesn't wear underwear.
She likes to do three.
And you know how like when superheroes fight and their clothes get all ripped up and you wonder how are those clothes hanging on just the right body parts?
They
Where in
don't
this
have-
book he doesn't have
That
to worry
doesn't
about
have that
That's
problem
right.
anymore, right?
Exactly. There's no
You got
clothes
nipples,
left. You've got
stuff
yeah.
everywhere.
Clothes are
I'm
flying
surprised. Now I
everywhere.
want to know how nipples don't get ripped off.
Right? Maybe tape. They tape them up, you think?
No, because I see them.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They're there.
But anyway, this is Savage Dragon number 224. 225 is the big
Yeah.
anniversary issue with all
100 pages.
100 pages, spectacular.
Oh my God! It's
Why 225?
I think
Every
it's like an
25
anniversary.
issues he
It's
does
like
like
an
a big-
anniversary.
Every 25?
Yeah, that's kind of
okay.
your typical comic book sort of logic. 25 issues.
Does he do
is
it
like-
every 25?
Not every 25. Usually it's every like 50, but
Yeah.
sometimes. But this
Oh,
one
and
actually
then-
makes sense for the story because he's really got this story coming together where, for people who haven't read Savage Dragon, there's a lot of like alternate timelines and alternate Earths and like things have always been kind of weird and confusing. So he's kind of doing this thing where all this crap is like coming together, like in this weird kind of Crisis on Infinite Earths for people who know what that is, which some of you may not. Anyway, it's kind of like all the timelines are kind of merging and kind of stuff.
Yeah, the
So I
panel
think-
layout's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. He does a good job. The book is really good. I really enjoyed it. But, yeah, and then the last page, he's having sex with her. Right there.
Sweet.
Pounding her.
Pound.
But she apparently does not wear underwear underneath her clothes either.
Okay.
Did you
Unless he's
see-
just pounding right through that. I don't know.
Did you,
It
Well,
could be true too.
did
You
you
never know.
see that he's doing an alternate cover?
Oh, yeah, for 225, that's like a porn cover.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like,
And he posts on Facebook with like everything censored, so there's like bubbles like all over
All
the
over
Yeah.
the
whole
place.
cover.
So you can
but
really
the
see
thing was like, okay, so it's normally $9.99, and it's like what 100
It's 100 pages.
100 pages, $9.99. Well, the
alternate porn one is $11.99.
$11.99.
Yeah.
So it's like $2 more.
$2 more
And
dollars.
People were like bitching. They're like,
Well, one guy who complained didn't realize that the book was 100 pages and it was normally $9.99. He's like, it's normally $4, just the variance, like 3 times the price. And I'm like, dude, it's a $10 book.
it's a $10
100 pages.
book.
It's
For
only
100
$2
pages.
more.
It's cheaper than the $4 single issue.
Yeah, no, it's actually a pretty good value if you
Good
like
value.
Savage Dragon.
It is.
Yeah.
It's $12.
I'll talk about one more thing. Did you read Dying of the Dead?
No.
Nope.
All right. So, Dying of the Dead,
I'm gonna talk
3
about it
issues.
anyway.
3 issues came out. I'm not gonna talk about what happened because
No,
I
that's
don't really
fine.
remember.
I don't remember
3
what
issues
happened in
came
the
out.
3
Now it's
issues.
been like probably 2 years, and then 4 came out.
After 2
And-
years?
And
Yeah.
there's not
Is
even
Warren
like a
Ellis
synopsis.
writing this or what?
Oh, really?
It's not even a synopsis. I'm like, you really expect me to remember what happened 2 years ago in this
Did you,
book?
you just jumped in, didn't
I just
you?
jumped. Yeah, I don't go back.
Yeah,
I just jumped in.
How'd
I'm
that
like,
work out?
well, it's mostly flashbacks, so it kind of worked out okay. But I'm like,
What's it called? The
Dying and the Dead. It's Jonathan
The
Hickman.
Dying and the
It's actually a really
Dead.
good book, but it's only 10 issues, so I'll just wait till they all come out and reread them
And
again.
then buy the trade.
I'm not going to buy the trade.
Buy the hardcover.
I'm not going to buy the hardcover. But anyway, I'll just reread them. But anyway, but yeah, I don't know why he expected me to figure out, to remember what the hell happened after like 2 years. And I may be exaggerating, but it's been at least a year.
Don't you need to show the cover over here?
Oh yeah, we've been forgetting to do that.
What the heck?
Scott hasn't been here keeping us honest.
Oh.
So, the Dying and the Dead.
The
number
Dying
4.
and the Dead.
3
Yep.
years later.
Yep. So it's
Holy
been
cow.
2 years. Don't exaggerate.
It's probably been 3.
Might have been. Oh, and here's Savage Dragon. Sorry, I forgot to show that. See? I won't show you the bad parts because small children may be watching.
There aren't there's nobody watching.
Well, yeah,
small
let alone
children.
Small children.
But, well, there you go.
If there are small children watching this podcast, there's something wrong.
I read
Let's
Saga.
just jump in.
I am.
Saga, Volume 2.
Volume 2. This thing is monstrous.
It
Look
is
at
monstrous.
that.
It's like 3 trades worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 trades worth.
It is. It's a lot.
15, 16, 18 issues. 18 issues, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's 18. Yeah.
18 issues.
Yeah, it's a lot.
She's
So-
picking her nose.
It is.
Well, she is a
It's a
little
good kid, though. It's kind of cute, you
Does
know?
she eat the booger?
I have
Ne-
no idea.
next
I
page?
didn't get that part, so I don't know.
No.
So.
Well, the first volume has like a kid breastfeeding on it. Like there's a big boob. And she's
Oh, immediately, like the very first page, is that way. So, or
Yeah.
no, hold it. The first page is the
Giving
TV, TV bot being born. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you met the king?
With the
yeah,
widescreen?
yeah, with the big
Mr.
old
Widescreen?
widescreen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's pretty
yeah,
awesome. King Robot.
yeah, King Robot.
Not
all
Prince
that other
Robot.
stuff. I don't even know. Is there really much of a synopsis on this?
You don't
Two
have
people
to.
from opposite sides of the
Of a great
whatever
war,
of a great
got
war got
together.
together. They have a little kid, and the little kid's then narrating this whole story of
And they're on the run.
after her birth, and this
Yeah.
type of stuff. Well, at least at the beginning of this, they're not really as much on the run. They like are
Correct.
trying
They
to settle down
Settle
now,
down,
and
yeah.
And,
and
the
she's
mom
like
gets
in
hooked on drugs.
the mother is
She's an actress on,
into
like, a soap
drugs
opera.
and everything else,
Yeah.
and he's the stay-at-home dad, and with his with his mother is
His
there
mother.
as well. So,
Yeah.
and then all hell breaks loose in here, and they have to. Then they're back on the run again, of course, and they get split up from their daughter. And actually, I think the mother, the daughter, and the grandmother are all together for a little while he's out on the run trying to find him, and then finally he finds the mother, and then they get split up again, where the little girl's with the grandmother on like a prison planet or something weird.
Does this do the time?
So-
Do they do a time jump?
They do
a
skip
little
ahead.
bit.
Like
They
the
skip
kid-
ahead like a year or two with the
Okay.
kid.
when the kid's
So,
gone because it
yeah.
takes them like a year to find her. I think.
To find her, and that's where I was talking about that like prison planet or whatever the heck else.
She's with the
guy-
grandma, right?
Yes,
In the prison
yeah.
planet? Yeah,
Yeah.
the grandma and her got snatched. They're on like a prison planet.
Is
Yeah.
this the one with the little otter dude?
Yes, that
The
little fuzzy
otter,
thing. Yes,
Whatever he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're hanging out with the TV prince and his child on some freaking planet, I think. So, and you have the what's the bounty hunter guy?
The Will.
The Will. How can I forget that? The Will, who's mostly in a coma most of the whole freaking thing. So
That's the
and-
name of my iPad. I have one iPad called The Will and one iPad called The Lion Cat.
Lion Cat. Okay.
Lion Cat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Lion Cat. I figured it was the Will and what the hell, the stock or whatever.
The stock. I don't
So-
like the stock.
She's
She does.
dead, isn't she?
She is. She died like so early. So.
She died in the first book, right?
Oh yeah, like in the
Okay.
first 6 issues or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
She died quickly. So. But hell, almost everybody died.
So what
in
did you
this
think of Saga Volume 2?
Well, I liked it. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's
you know, the only problem I somewhat have is the fact that I think sometimes it just seems like, ooh, almost like the Savage Dragon. How much can I really get away with, or how much
Yeah.
can I really push,
He pushes the
type
envelope
the
with that.
envelope, Do you really need to? I mean, if he's telling a good enough story, I feel like, overall,
Yeah, definitely.
for kind of this whole, family on the run type of thing, that I really don't need this gratuitous, big page of,
Right.
sex going on or blood and guts and whatever the heck else, in
That's
some
real
cases.
life, though, man.
So, I suppose you could go there, but
He's just keeping it real.
yeah, he's keeping it real with the blue blood and whatever the heck else, and the TV heads and
The dragon.
and
The dragon with the
whatever
huge
else.
penis?
And the dragon, yes, it's sucking on his penis and whatever the heck else. So yes, he's just keeping it real.
Have you ever
So-
met a dragon?
No,
That's probably what they do.
They might
may
do
be what
that.
they do all the time. So, like a giant lion cat or whatever. So,
Exactly.
but,
All right. So.
but yes,
Saga's
it's still good. It's just compared to some of his other work, it just seems like he's almost just going for see how over the top he can be in some
Yeah,
cases.
I think that
which
was
sometimes
his first...
kind of takes me away a little bit from the story, but in some cases it's hit and miss. Some things you go, and I'm sure it's probably different for everybody.
Well, I think this was his first image book where he kind of had like no editors, no restraint. So he's like, I'm just gonna
throw it all at the wall and see what sticks.
And just go with it, and so it's definitely been that. But I feel like the story's still pretty good. I like how he always has a good cliffhanger, and he kind of keeps it interesting and moving, and kind of always ends on kind of like which on a 3 trades in 1 book doesn't really make much of a difference. But if you're reading single issues,
I'm sure.
I think it would be cool to have all those cliffhangers.
Well, I'm glad that I'm reading it in this, because otherwise it'd be like, really?
I gotta wait 30 days.
I gotta wait for the next.
Yeah, definitely. So it's good.
Yep.
It does feel a little bit like it should be eventually kind of getting to the end or something. It does feel like it's dragged out a little bit, or maybe it could have been you could start wrapping up, but I don't know. It may go a while longer.
He could definitely go.
Because the daughter's only, 4 now?
Yeah.
So she goes 2 years on each hardcover. That's probably, I don't know how old she is narrating.
Yeah, who knows?
So it could be like 6
She could be like, exactly right.
Know.
So just keep on going.
Correct.
Yeah. 300 issues or something. Maybe
something like that,
Way up there.
Spawn's not even at 300 issues, man.
Spawn's not? Dang, that thing's been out there since I was like a freaking teenager, man.
A lot.
It won't go 300 issues, but I can see it going like 50 or 100, I guess.
What the hell do they do on Spawn? Take a break or something? I don't know.
No, it's been coming out pretty consistently.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, it's 12 issues a year, so...
That's true. Do
20 years is 240.
Yeah, very true.
And it's been coming out
look
more
at
than
Savage
20
Dragon. It came out at the same time,
Yeah,
so.
he hasn't been on quite a monthly schedule.
So,
yeah.
Good point.
You got another one, Don? You want to talk about your Divided States of Hysteria. Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay, I don't even know how I want to approach this.
How do you want to approach it? I don't either.
Talk about it.
So the controversy came out.
So I didn't buy this book because it did not look like something I was interested in.
Should we talk about the book itself, or should we talk about the controversy?
Why don't you talk about the book and see if you even liked it, and then we'll go on to the controversy.
I did.
If we want to touch on
that. That is a beautiful cover.
I did. Really? You think so?
No.
Okay.
That's kind of cool looking, though.
So, yeah.
Did you want to open it up and read
No,
it?
just set it on the thing.
No.
Okay.
I'm a big Howard Chaykin fan.
I generally like Howard Chaykin as well.
A lot of his stuff recently, though, within the last 2 or 3 years or 5 years or whatever, it seems like it's the same hero. Like
all his stuff is that way.
Yeah. But anyway,
he even draws the guy the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Same character.
Basically.
So is he doing the story and the art?
Yeah. He's a writer-artist.
Okay.
So the story of the Divided States of Hysteria is it's set in the near future. Like 2020.
Like Escape from New York.
Like 2020. Like
okay.
3 years from now.
Yes.
And it starts out with there's been an assassination attempt, and they've taken out like the president and like most of like the cabinet.
Okay.
Is what it said at the beginning.
Gotcha.
So there's a lady president. I guess she was the one down the line that got it or whatever. And so
Kellyanne Conway.
I don't know. Scary. I don't know if they name her or not. I don't remember.
So currently, there's a lady president after all these other people got assassinated.
Yep. So the story sort of revolves around a CIA agent, and he thinks that there's another huge terrorist attack coming. So he's trying to let everybody know and like get everybody on board that there's something else coming, and nobody really believes him.
Okay.
Which he's not a great guy either, because he starts out he's having an affair with this chick in a hotel room, and he's married, and he calls his wife back at home with the kids, and so and then so
yeah, but that's pretty usual in Washington, right? So
yeah. So then it goes through like 3 or 4 different short synopsises of like just terrible people. So like
everybody's terrible.
Yeah, there's a sniper who's just popping people. Like I think it was I don't remember where it was at, but and see this is okay. So like everybody, what did everybody lose their shit about this book about? Was it the cover? Was it number 1?
They didn't like number 1 because there was violence against a transgender person.
Okay, right.
They didn't like that.
Okay.
That was strike one.
And then issue number 4, the preview for the cover came out, and everybody lost their shit over that.
Because it was...
What's on the cover?
It was an Arabic
man. I can show it to you.
Hanging,
you have it, huh?
being lynched.
Oh.
Was it Arabic?
Yeah, it was like
Arabic guy hanging, lynched. His genitals have been cut off, and there was blood dripping, and then there was
a racial
slur
on his name tag.
Wow. All this is on the cover?
Yeah, just on the cover.
Just on the cover.
Wow.
For kids to see.
Which, here's my issue. Are we really... It's a comic book, right?
Matter. Comic books matter.
They can be political.
It's a comic book.
They can be trying to say something.
Here's basically the cover, which you can't really see it that well because it's
tiny
in
the previews. They have since changed the cover to something else.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
They're not using that cover anymore because people really got offended by it.
Okay, so I was reading on Facebook the little thing that you and Kelly were having.
Okay.
And I wanted to jump in, but I didn't want to say something that made me sound stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to say something.
You saved
that
it for
makes
the
me sound
podcast?
Yeah, I saved it for the podcast. But I did like how Kelly Williams was saying that, like, I'm, a middle-aged white man, and none of this really affects me anyway? Or something to that effect.
He said something, not that it doesn't affect him, but that he's probably not the person to talk about it because it's not affecting... He's not the person being victimized by that cover. And so it's hard for him to speak for those people because that's not him.
Right.
So it's and we're all the same thing. We're like middle-aged white guys.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
and so I'm coming from that opinion too. But it's like, I guess I've never really been persecuted. Like I can,
correct. That's
I
the
can
point.
mainly
That's
walk down the street and
you don't
not
have to worry
about. But like, okay, so like it's not. Okay, so people freaked out about the trans, which it was bad. I didn't. There's stuff that Howard Chaykin's done, like, was it Black Kiss?
Yeah, Black Kiss was.
I couldn't even get through it. Like,
Yeah,
I read most of it. Like, there's stuff that he does that just is not. I don't
Not for
enjoy
you.
reading. Okay, but the thing of it is, it's like, if you don't like it, then don't buy it. Don't read it.
Yes.
Why does everybody have to make a big deal about? There can be stuff that exists that's fiction that people can not enjoy, right?
Correct. Absolutely. But I mean, there's a point. It's not that they don't enjoy it. It's that they feel that it exploits, victimizes, or makes those people who feel victimized or threatened feel worse, or could actually make it worse as opposed to making it better. Like if you get bombarded with images of racial violence, does that, encourage racial violence?
Exactly.
Does it, to the people who are scared of racial violence, does that impact them in a way that's negative if they have to see it all the time? I mean, does that cause them to be more feared? Does it cause more division? I mean,
are people seeing it all the time? Because
well, they're not.
One issue of a comic book.
But the point is that you're saying, does that stuff matter? It's like it can, whether or not the United States of Hysteria, which nobody probably was even paying attention to until they brought it up, because I'm sure it's not exactly blown up the charts, because Howard Chaykin's kind of not past his prime, but has passed his popularity prime, I would say. I don't think most people even know who he is.
So the problem I have is, so everybody flipped out about the transgender scene.
Yes.
Okay. So before the transgender, well, maybe not before, but in the book, there's a black guy who's had it up, and he's a sniper, and so he's popping white people.
Okay.
He's just in a building. Hey, I'm gonna kill as many white people as I can.
Yeah.
Okay. So why isn't everybody freaking out about the black guy killing white people?
Because
the transgender
people often get
then
attacked.
you got
because that actually happens
killer.
to transgender people. How many black guys go around popping off white people? It doesn't happen very often. Do you go around worrying about that?
I don't go around worrying about it,
Do
but
you think transgender people go around worrying about being violently attacked because they're transgender?
okay, in this book, the transgender person that gets attacked is a prostitute in Vegas.
Correct. Do those people worry about getting attacked?
They probably do.
They probably do.
Correct. Do you worry about getting popped off by a black sniper while you're walking down the street?
Nope.
Well, no.
That's the difference, in my opinion, in my interpretation. It's not something.
But I'm not
something
a
happened,
prostitute
but
in
you're not
Vegas
worried about it.
either.
But if you are and you're transgender, you're probably worried about that. And then you see it in a comic book, it doesn't help the situation.
That's right.
I'm done.
Helps
I guess I don't get it. I read an interview with Howard Chaykin today that some dude had posted, like it was on Facebook or it was on some website or something. And the main problem I have, which apparently is true, is everybody's freaking out about a cover. Well, yes, it's a blatant image, okay? I understand that. But read the book. Don't.
If I saw that cover, I'm probably going to want to read the book.
Then don't read it.
I'm not going to. I wasn't planning to read it.
But what I'm saying is, Howard Chaykin is like, you know, all these people that are freaking out about it. He's like, I put an email for letters or comments in the first issue.
Yeah.
He's like, you know how many emails I've gotten or letters? 0. But everybody's boycotting it online and I don't know. Just because stuff is out there that I'm not interested in doesn't mean I'm gonna read it.
Correct.
So I don't know. I guess I get it. I kind of get it.
I'm just trying to explain what I think. My personal opinion, like I said, I'm not the right person to probably have an opinion. I'm fine with everything. The only thing I don't like is that Image caved, and to me, it feels like not censorship because it's not being censored, but it's like they caved to pressure and change. It's like I don't think art should ever have to be compromised. If Howard Chaykin, that's the cover he wants, that's the cover he should put on there. If somebody doesn't like it, boycott it, don't buy it. Go online and say how much you don't like Howard Chaykin, how you think he's a despicable person. That's fine. Freedom of speech, freedom of art, just, that's fine with me. But I feel sad that Image actually caved into the pressure because to me that just sets a bad precedent. So if a bunch of people see some piece of art that they don't like, then the artist is supposed to just not do it. Obviously he thought it was a good decision before. I mean, is he that out of touch? I mean, I don't know. I don't like the trend that goes to where you start where the public starts reacting to something negatively and so you change it. It's like, well, do what you're gonna do, and then be willing to suffer the consequences.
Which I think Howard Chaykin.
He
don't give up.
No, I'm sure it was Image who kind of pressured.
Well, he even said something. He said something about he had no problem with Image changing.
I'm sure
cover.
He doesn't
because he basically said that I'm gonna affect other people. He said if my book that's published through Image is gonna cause such an uproar that people are gonna boycott all of Image because of me, he's like, then take it away. He's like, I don't want to get in.
But he's only doing that because he feels all this pressure. You know what I mean? He feels bad for all the other creators.
Well, yeah.
That's why he did it. That's why he doesn't care. And it's sad that an artist has to feel bad about their art, that they're compelled to change it.
I don't know. I've just always been of
Not that I'm saying this book is high art or anything, by the way. It is what it is. I just don't like the idea that creators change their vision based on negative input. You know what I mean? I just don't like. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like People versus Larry Flint, where
I suppose
he didn't change. He didn't change his vision of the book. He changed the cover, which is one image.
I understand. It's like when I see that comic book legal defense old T-shirt with like Frank Miller, and had that little girl, and he's like putting like tape over her eyes, and it's like, oh, one more and you'll be safe. It's like you're not going to be able to protect people from images they're going to find disturbing. I mean, that's just part of living in a free society.
Right. And
it's part of living in a free society. And if you don't like it, don't look at it. If you saw it accidentally, I mean, everything. I suppose it's I had to actually go looking for it because people were talking about it, and to see it, you have to click on links and say, "Oh, everything's warning you." It's like there's lots of warnings. So if you don't want to see it, it's not like it's like people are walking around and shoving it in your face.
I know, but should we be promoting violence and things of that nature like that to have cases?
Yeah, I don't think it is promoting violence.
I mean, sometimes it seems like in order to sell a book, we're trying to put something on there to shock the person or whatever else to go get them to pick it up. Now, you're right. Is it promoting or is it shocking? Whatever it is. But it seems like we're constantly going to this point where we're trying to stretch things so we can make the dollar or get something so that we can get this to be focused upon. To me, that seems like, over the top what he's trying to show there on a cover.
I agree.
Quite frankly. You're right. It's art, whatever else. As long as he still gets to speak his vision inside his book, I don't care. type stuff. And if somebody wants to read that stuff, but do I need to have that plastered all over the front of something
that's the thing
so that
too.
somebody makes me do a second look, whatever else, to pick up something that probably I will find offensive anyway, type stuff. I think sometimes that causes some of the problems that we have in some cases. And the fact that for that almighty dollar, we're willing to, and free speech that we always throw up here all the time. Granted, I don't want to see a bunch of censorship, but what I want to have is people to use some damn common sense
and
be responsible. Exactly right.
Yeah, and I agree that cover is probably is not appropriate for like a comic book store.
I think the cover's in bad taste. I don't like the cover. But I think Howard Chaykin has the right to put whatever he wants on a comic book. I think it's in bad taste. I don't think he should have done it, but I still don't think he should have pulled it. But
you remember,
if it's on the shelf in a comic book store, they're going to cover that up.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to have a black bag or something. You're not going to be walking by and have to see that.
Yeah.
But they printed it in previews.
They did,
and I think that's what everybody's flipping out. Well, you're not going to worry about it because the cover's been changed. So that cover,
Still in previews, though.
From what I read,
Still in previews.
And what I read was they printed them.
Oh,
they
right.
already printed them. So they're going to go back.
So there's going to be a bunch of them in a landfill somewhere.
I don't know. Anyway,
shred them.
I guess I'm just like old school. It's like I remember if you don't like it, change the channel. If you don't like it, don't read it. You know what I mean?
I see what Scott's saying
but
too.
to the point, that's
I
okay
see what you're
too.
saying,
But
too.
it just seems like we're constantly getting to that point where we're always trying to stretch those limits of what's in good taste or whatever the heck else.
So
it's that Pandora's box. How much do you keep doing in the state of that? Show some responsibility. That come on, make a decent choice. Use some of your own common sense or whatever the heck else.
But I think with Howard Chaykin, I think you have to be prepared. Like if you've read his stuff for years,
you're prepared for probably something like that.
You're going to be prepared.
That's he's done worse than that.
Yeah. Probably big time. But was it splattered on its cover or something? Who knows?
Well, no,
maybe it was. I don't know.
I'm saying no, but the cover. Yeah, the cover.
Like I said, I don't care what anybody puts on the inside of something from a whatever else free speech type of perspective. But I think sometimes we stretch the limits with some of that type of stuff that gets in there. But quite frankly, the same thing could happen with the inside of the book too. Somebody's going to get onto that, and then the next thing you know, social media and everything else, it's going to be all. Then it's going to be, oh wow, look at this, and somebody's going to be posting up all these other pictures and everything else, and then it's like, well, geez, Then it gets back to your point, that you have free speech. We got to be able to say some of this, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes we. From a free speech perspective, just because you can think it.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
I know.
And just because you can say it doesn't mean you should. Because words have power, images have power.
I know. And I think sometimes that's where we get lost into this country for some of that, And I don't know what the hell the answer is.
And I do feel like
because I don't feel like once you open that Pandora, once you open that box of censorship, it never freaking ends. And then the next thing you know, you got 451 or some crap.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. But
see, I'd read that this book. He talked about this at one of the Image Expos, back in 2016.
Yeah.
They were going to release this. Like last year, and they held on to it because he wrote this and did it before. In the back, he writes a little essay, and this was before Trump was even on the radar.
Yeah.
He states in the back that he was pretty sure when he wrote this that Hillary Clinton would be the Democratic, but he said I figured it would either be Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, or Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And he's just basically he's a Democrat. He's left wing.
Yeah.
And he's fed up with all politics. He's fed up with America.
I think he's just fed up with how everybody's so divided and just angry.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Oh yeah.
I understand the statement that he's trying to make in his book.
Anyway, I don't know. Like I said, I guess I'm pretty old school. It's just if you don't like it, don't read it. And
I understand that too.
When you I don't know. It seems like nobody. No offense to Howard Chaykin, but nobody would have probably read that book.
Oh, you're exactly right.
Nobody cares.
And now it's
it's
you
all
draw
over the
attention to it.
Yes, which makes it even worse.
And you make it bigger, and you blow it up. So now everybody's like, "Oh, what's so bad? I have to see it, so I have to go get it." And it's I don't know. Sometimes people are just
No, we're all freaking lemmings, clones, whatever.
People make it worse.
We do.
So, oh well.
All right, back to our comic book podcast.
Yeah, back to comics. Fun
After
comics.
that, nice.
Talking about fun, but this is Outcast number 27.
Outcast is fun.
Are you reading Outcast?
I am, but I'm way behind.
They
Kirkman,
finally explain what's going on in this book. Like this issue just lays it all out.
Really?
They like say this is what the things are. This
Does
is
that
what
mean
it means.
the sales have gone way down and you figured, oh shit, we better
Well,
go
I
do
think
something?
sales are still pretty decent.
Robert Kirkman said at the beginning he was going to go really slow with this book.
It's been very slow because this is issue 27. We've had no idea
Yeah.
what's happening. But yeah,
He's probably realized, oh crap, I hardly have any readers left. I better spill the beans now.
It's
Yeah,
a really
bizarre.
good book.
They have like a whole it's like 5 or 6 pages. Just like not even like tricky. They just like lay it out. Like it's pretty interesting. But
Was
anyway,
it good then?
it was good.
Was it satisfying about
I think
that?
so.
What was
when
going on?
when you have something built up that much, it's always hard to
Satisfy everybody.
anything just because it's like it's issue 27, so we read it for about 2.5 years, and it's like. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That sounds cool. I guess I understand now what's going on, but where are we gonna go now? Because it's like now the big mystery solved. It's like, okay, so why am I still reading this book? A little bit, it's kind of like when the big reveal happens. You're like, okay, cool, yeah. It's almost always gonna be better in your mind. Like the mystery is always better than the actual.
Oh, you're
reveal.
exactly right.
I can't think of any big reveal that ever lived up to the
the path and everything else. Yeah,
but I think it's pretty solid. It makes sense and good. I think
Not even Darth Vader telling Luke he's his father.
I was like,
I was going to
7
say
years
I was like
old.
7, so I don't even know
impacted
that.
me that much.
Blew my
I was like,
mind.
oh,
It did not blow my mind.
and it
I was
wasn't like
what?
that was something I was expecting
Can't be
either.
true.
Right? So
And then you had to wait like
expecting it.
3 years.
I was going to say I don't know if that was really much of a build up. Oh, you mean after that happened and then 3 years for the next one?
Yeah, that's the way the movie ended, and you had to wait like 3 years.
That is
so
true.
You're like, oh my god, is it
Han
true?
Solo's
Well, I
in
think
Carbonite.
in my naive 7-year-old, I was like, well, there's no way he's his father.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't even 7. I was 5. I was like, I'm sure in my 5-year-old mind, I was thinking, there's no way he's
You
his
were
father.
6.
No, it came out in 1980.
Yeah.
Yep,
right?
1980.
you're 5.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
What day?
May something.
I was probably 4 then. I wasn't even 5 yet. I was
5,
almost
yeah.
5.
Yeah, so did you even see it then?
Yes, I saw it in the theater.
At 4 years old, 5
Yeah,
years
my
old?
dad took me.
Wow. He is some
I
cool
remember
parents.
I think I actually fell asleep.
I remember we went. Never mind. We saw it at the Twin Lakes.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And I remember waiting in line. That line was wrapped around.
Was that
No
for that one? Or was it
kidding.
Return of the Jedi?
No, that was Empire.
Okay, I remember being in a long line for Return of the Jedi.
Well,
too.
you probably in a long run for Return of the Jedi too.
But yeah, at Twin Lakes it was all wrapped around. But like I said, you know how memories are when you're a kid. They're all kind
Yeah.
of this jumble. But
Pawnee and Broadway, whatever the hell that was. Cinemas.
Pawnee Cinema, probably.
Is that
Pawnees.
what it was? I thought it was like a Cinemas West or something over
No,
here.
it was like
No,
a
Cinemas West I know was way out here.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what.
Anyway,
But yeah.
good times.
Good times.
Spider-Man comes out Friday.
Yeah, I know.
Excited.
The only reason I'm excited is because they tied it into the Marvel universe.
It's getting
If it
really
was
big
like-
reviews.
If it was like a standalone Spider-Man movie, I would just be like,
And you know the thing is that that's how they're really advertising it. With
Oh, I
showing.
know.
They probably showed you every scene that has Tony Stark,
Stark
in
in it,
that
I know.
movie
But
because they
that's
want
the
to let.
only reason
I
I'm
know because they
interested in
want
it.
people to know it's part of the Marvel universe. Now you're going to get in there and it's going to be Spider-Man movie, which is going to be good.
I don't even know
and it's
if I'll
getting
get
really
it,
good. Stuff
Very
on Rotten
good.
Tomatoes
Yeah, I saw
and
a
everything
review.
else.
I saw a commercial that said it's like 90% or 98 on
It's like
Rotten
93
Tomatoes.
or 94.
It's
last
up
I
there.
checked.
On the commercial for
Yeah.
the movie.
Yes.
That's all that people look at anymore. Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes.
I know,
It's
right?
above 90. It's friggin' awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It's fresh, and they
I don't
can
know.
go
I
for
was
it.
just really down with. I mean, I didn't like the reboot.
Yeah,
The
I
last
liked the
2
first
reboots.
one. I didn't like the second one. I thought the first one was really well done.
First Spider-Man movie.
The first Amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing
movie
Spider-Man
with Andrew
with the
Garfield.
Lizard,
Oh,
Andrew Garfield.
okay.
Because then they had 2,
Yes.
and now they're rebooting it again a 3rd time, and I'm just.
But
like,
Amazing
I'm out.
Spider-Man 2 with Electro was pretty horrible. I think.
Yes, very bad.
Hmm.
But I like the first one.
First one was okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Can you hear those
I
fireworks
would
in the
have-
background?
I would have no
Shall I
interest in
fit?
that movie other than the fact that they've tied it in and they had Spider-Man in Civil War.
That is very true. Yep.
Because otherwise, it's just another freaking Spider-Man reboot, which I've already seen.
They aren't going to do his origin.
But they're not doing an
Thank
origin.
God.
Yeah.
So you don't have to hear about Uncle Ben dying or how he got his powers.
Right.
Got bit by
That's
the
right.
Maybe DC should learn, and the next time
They're-
they do a Batman movie, we don't have to watch his parents get murdered.
Oh, come on.
Over and over and over again.
But every director
And him
wants to put
falling
their
a
own
freaking
spin
hole
on it.
with bats.
I think you even see it in every even sequels of Batman. Don't they like?
Oh, they
flashback?
do. They
Every
always flash
single
back.
Batman movie.
Yes.
Has that?
Has
It does.
the gunshot, and they fall,
And the
then
pearls, yeah.
go everywhere, and then they mix in with the blood. And, yeah,
It's awesome.
it is very awesome.
All right, do you want to talk about some? The problem I'm having is that most of the stuff I've read,
You forgot
for
about.
I read for the last podcast, but since we had Suzanne on there, I didn't talk about it.
That's why I didn't
Yes.
bring.
So I don't remember most of what I've read here.
That's why I didn't bring almost everything.
And I have a
that
few
read.
things I could talk about, but I think
I
there's
didn't
stuff
remember.
that Scott's probably going to read, so I don't want to spoil too much.
I'll talk about this because this book's pretty freaking awesome.
Exo Man.
Really?
The Exo Man War reboot.
What issue is that?
It's #1.
Okay, it was
Matt,
good.
Matt Kent writes, and I don't know who the artist is, but he kicks ass. You should open that thing
Just
up.
what we need is another Exo Man of War reboot.
Is this Tomas Gallerio or Gallerio?
Yeah, probably.
Gallerio?
Jarello.
Jarrell.
People to
Okay.
Jarello.
So, it's good, man.
Why do I need another Exo Man of War reboot?
I didn't think I did either until I read
Right,
this.
that's what I'm saying.
So
because
Cell has. Why
But, like-
is that? Just because the art is so.
No, okay, so the
React-
story's really
great.
cool too. Like, I don't know where, because I didn't buy EXO before, so I don't know, like, what happened, but, so, this starts off, he's just
He looks like Thor.
hanging out on, like, some
Planet Gord.
planet.
On Planet
I
Gorn.
can read.
That planet.
Planet
Okay,
And
so
he's
we got
like-
that one.
He's
Next
done.
page.
So now, he's with this lady.
She looks like an alien.
She's an alien, because it's an alien planet.
Planet Gord.
Wow.
Is she
But-
a Gorinian?
Apparently. I
Okay.
don't know.
Sweet.
Okay.
Okay.
And
It did.
so then he goes out because he's hidden the little armor thing, the ball,
He's
because he
found
doesn't want to
Stonehenge.
use it anymore.
Is his armor in the ball?
Yeah, his armor's in the ball. So he wants
There's
to
like
be
no
like,
words
he's
here at
given
all.
up.
This is like just
He
all
cuts out like
pictures.
a little sliver
Matt Kim
and
was
wears it
saying
as a
that.
ring. Okay.
Okay.
So now he's like out brooding, and there's a war going on.
Sounds
this,
good so
There's
far.
a war going on this planet
Yeah.
between the.
I will say I do like the art quite a
Yeah.
bit.
And so
There's no way this guy can do a monthly book.
There's a war going on between two races. One are
He's
like the
missing a
low
hand.
tech guys, and one are like the super powered up in space like people.
Is
So
the
they-
lady he's in bed with, is she the high tech or the low tech?
She's low tech.
Of course she
So
is.
all the people coming through are the low tech.
I bet he has to use his armor to help the low tech people
Not
fight
yet.
off the high tech.
Not in the first
Because he
issue.
feels guilty.
He's so badass he doesn't need his armor in the first issue.
Oh wow.
So they come along and they're like, "We need you for our war," and so they just rip him out of his house and they drag him along. And he's like, "Well, when do I get my gun?" And they're like, "We're not giving you gun. You're fodder. You're like the front line." So anyway, they're storming. They're in the middle, so they're doing this battle. See, he lost his arm.
That's what I was seeing there.
He's got like some cool little grappling hook
Lost
kind
his
of thing.
hand.
Like Aquaman?
Yeah, like
It does
Aquaman.
not look that way.
And so anyway,
So when he puts his armor on, does it give him an arm?
he does. I don't know. He doesn't wear his armor in this one.
Okay.
This is all just him. They go on this battle.
Seems
and
like
they
a lost
attack.
opportunity. He is Exo Man of War with a suit
He
of
doesn't
armor.
want to be EXO. You're going
like-
too fast.
It's like Iron Man
You're going
3.
too fast. You didn't even let me set it up.
It's
I
like
just
Iron
jumped
Man
right
3
into
where
the
he's
story.
never in the armor.
And so
Without
anyway,
Robert Downey
they do
Jr.
this huge attack. He's just supposed to be this little peon. Well, he ends up basically, if you keep
He's
going,
beating the crap out
you
of
got to
people.
go past all the stuff in the middle.
Oh,
What the heck?
so
It's
that's
like
There's
like
like
in the middle?
extra stuff. Like extra stuff that I didn't
And it's in
read.
the middle?
It doesn't matter.
It
Yeah.
does appear, yes. It's
That's
giving a
weird.
bunch
Usually
of-
that's called back matter.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at that!
And so
Ow.
they attack this. They attack this monster and they defeat like what they're supposed to defeat.
Okay.
So then you
Yay.
get, which the monster's really cool. It's like
I'm
this
happy.
dragon monster thing, like this big creature.
That already
It's like
happened?
some dude. No, you got to keep going.
Go on, Scott. Keep going.
Keep going.
He's got a gun now.
He,
said
he
didn't
joined
get
like a
gun.
group.
Does he have
There it
armor?
is.
Oh, wow.
The big monster thing with like laser shooting out of it, and it's got
It's a
another
monster?
cannon on the
It's
They're
like a
top.
always
tank.
sweet.
No, it's a creature.
I
It
understand.
is a
Yeah,
critter.
look at that.
Yeah,
So
look
he
at that.
basically
got
slices
armor
the
on it or
creature
something.
in the leg and climbs up through it and then comes out the top and then throws in a grenade and kills the two guys running it.
Oh, wow.
So he becomes like the big hero of the army that he doesn't even want to be a part of. And so
Thank
then
you,
he meets
soldier.
like the big general, and the general's like, "Well, you did pretty good." He's like, "So now I'm going to send you on a secret mission." He's like, I'm going to send you and like a group of like 3 or 4 other people, and you're gonna go up to like invade the castle or the spaceship, and basically if you do that, then whatever. So he's like a badass without the armor, and
He's always been a
like
badass
one less
without the
arm.
armor.
I don't know, dude. I really liked it. It had really cool feel, like almost kind of like
Very good.
I don't know, like other
Like Conan versus Mars or something.
Yeah, something like that. But the art was great. It's a cool story.
Here's what I'm
really
gonna say.
liked it.
That art looked beautiful.
Yeah.
There's no way that guy can keep up any kind of schedule. So
Well, I don't know.
even if you got a good lead time. So what's going to happen? It's going to be awesome for like 4 issues when the art maintains, and then after like 4 issues, they're going to get some hack to come in and like finish it, and it's going to be like, what happened to this?
I don't know, dude. I really liked the first issue, and this was they did it like.
Talk to me in a year.
This was the first
6
time-
months.
This is the first thing they did. They did pre-order for the first 3 issues.
Yeah.
So you had to buy the first 3. So I got like the first 3 issues.
I understand.
I think, like boom, all at once. I've only just read.
Talk
the
to
first
me in
one.
6 months.
Okay.
We'll see.
What's next?
It
Chew?
looks really good. Yeah, let's do Chew.
What is this? Volume
Like
5 and Volume 6.
And volumes.
Woo!
The
Leads up to the
end.
end. Yes.
So did
Beautiful friend.
Chew
The
deliver,
end.
Scott? Because you'd read the other 4.
I had read the other 4, yeah. And
Okay.
I think I remember them for the most part. What I found very interesting is that you know that it was going on its way down, type thing. Or that it was trying to wrap things up,
Yeah,
wrap storylines up,
Sure.
okay? You kind of got that feeling, especially after 4, and I think kind of how it ended cliffhanger-ish, type things. I think for the setup there, his sister, I think his twin sister, Tony's Chew's twin sister, I think died there at the end of the 4th one. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
And then he eats like her toe or something like this and gets a vision of what he needs to do.
Go ahead, keep talking.
No, that's fine. So, gets a vision of what he needs to do, and then that's setting up everything for what needs to happen in this one, in which Tony now needs to take out the vampire who is whatever the heck type of has the same powers as he does. And so that's where this is leading up to.
Sorry, we all bandaged you, Scott.
No, that's okay. You're fine.
Well, it said 20% power, so I just want to get it plugged in.
You wanted to make sure that you got plenty of power. Anyway, so this one basically then starts off number 5 with basically trying to get the meet up for the big bad there of the vampire or whatever big bad guy. So, and what I found amazing about that is the fact that they wrapped it all up in essentially Volume 5.
Yeah, so like what's going to happen in Volume 6?
That's right. So you knew kind of that 6 was, okay, we must be trying to address now the writing in the sky type stuff.
Oh, yeah, the big story.
That type of thing. But I guess for me, I didn't exactly realize that was the big story, I guess.
Gotcha.
Either.
You thought the vampire was the big
I thought
story.
the vampire was the big story and that the whole little writing in the sky was kind of the secondary thing.
Gotcha.
So it kind of surprised me that it kind of flip-flopped there.
No.
Oh, yeah. So... And then when you find out what all it entails, I guess that's, I found what he was doing there in Volume 5 more satisfying than 6. I don't know. What did you think, Drew, as you walked off?
Do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I thought it was nice, but I did know, I kind of got the sense, as you go back, I reread them all, before I read 6. And so you did get the sense that I got the sense that the big story was
is right in
of course,
the
I already
sky
read
type
5,
stuff.
so I guess
And
I
the
kind of
whole
knew that.
chicken flu and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
that
or
was the big
bird flu,
story.
Avian flu.
The avian flu or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I thought he did a good job of, keeping it interesting, but yet having like good stories, but then also being able to address like the big, issues at the same big story at the same time.
Yeah,
slowly divulge what was happening. It was interesting. Like I say, the very end I thought was strange.
I kind of thought the whole last issue in general.
Was that the one that was in the future? Yeah,
yes,
with
it
his
is.
daughter's like
Future,
a cop,
yeah.
then
And she's a
FBI
cop and
agent.
chasing somebody else, whatever.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on the whole thing of especially the very last panel, because you almost get the feeling the whole sacrifice and everything else that he did, and the people that he lost, and everything else was in a lot to allow his daughter to have a life,
Yes.
type stuff.
Correct.
And then
doesn't that throw it all away?
Exactly. Don't you feel that way? That he's throwing it all away at the end. He did all this sacrificing just so that whatever it is, 10 years, maybe it's 20 in the future, he's going to throw it all away. Then maybe all that hate and everything else he's built up for so long, I guess, just gets the best of him. Yeah. But, for what he was doing so noble and everything else, and what everybody said, you always do the right thing and everything else, then the very last panel essentially throws all that away. So what you thought about that character kind of all changes in the blink of one, page almost in a way.
Well, Tony Chu is an interesting character. I was kind of thinking about this because I knew we were going to talk about it. He's not a real admiral character in my mind. I mean, I guess he has some good qualities that you'd expect in like your hero type, but
but I guess stubbornness.
I guess the big thing is that I was trying to think about. It's like, okay, so his wife died, right?
Yeah.
And his daughter. Well, then he left his daughter to be raised by like his sister or whatever, and then he has no contact with her. Like, if your wife passed away and your daughter was like 6 or 7 years old, would you just leave her? And I mean, I realize you're really sad that your wife is dead, but you pull up your big boy pants and you be a father and you do it, or you know what I mean? It's like, and so that just. So I guess in a way, maybe Tony Chu isn't that noble of a character. Because one, he doesn't have the perseverance to do what he needs to do as a father, right? And then as he gets towards the end of the story of Chu, it's like all this bad stuff happens to him, and instead of realizing that, hey, I sacrificed this stuff for the good, at the very end, he kind of, like you said, he kind of throws it all away because he lets his anger and his disappointment or sadness, whatever, get the best of him,
Yeah.
So he's not very good at taking bad things and trying to be noble and make the best of it.
Yeah.
He's a very flawed character, I guess, in a way. I mean, I guess as you're reading it, he's like the hero. He's always, catching the bad guy and all this stuff. But when you actually look at his life and what he's done, and it's like, actually his partner was slightly more noble than he was. You know what I mean? Because, his partner was encouraging him to save the world, even though his partner knew the ramifications for him,
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't tell Tony, because he knew that if he did...
Somewhat. I don't know that his partner was a goof.
He was a goof, but I mean, you know what I mean? He did the self-sacrifice at the end.
But he didn't have to.
He didn't have
it was
to.
Because he was just a moron. He's like, I don't care.
But he didn't know at the time, right? When he had his breakfast, he didn't know what it all meant.
Right,
that was that I got.
Okay.
But he didn't know.
I don't know. I think he kind of did.
Anyway, without trying to spoil too much, obviously, but we can't do too much with that.
That's very true. But to your point, I think earlier when you were talking about this I think almost a month ago, everything does wrap up.
Yeah.
I mean, all the crazy storylines that he had, and everything else, and you even find out more of a reason of what Pollo was in there for than just be this crazy comic relief almost in a way and whatever else. He was actually building that to have a purpose, and stuff, and maybe that's where I think that was part of my maybe problem, especially when I got to the last one, that when I was reading, even the other issues, I found it more of just a comedic type of thing, maybe dark comedy, in some cases.
It's fairly dark.
But overall, I have never felt though that it took itself very seriously and was just always trying to be this fun ride, type of thing, and really a lot. Maybe I should have seen that coming somewhat when his sister died, in 4. But by the time, even in issue 5, I didn't still feel like it was all that dark. I mean, there's some stupid things that happen, but you still kind of get it there. By the time you get into the 6, I mean, it is a pretty dark travel, I guess, that's going in there. And while he's trying to keep it light and funny, it just loses a lot of that. And maybe for what I read and what I enjoyed about it, wasn't as good than in the 6th issue as he's trying to wrap it all up.
It's been a long time since I read it, because I read it when it came out.
Yeah.
But it's interesting listening to you guys talk about how he abandoned his daughter and then his wife died and he couldn't handle it. I mean, it's kind of neat because it's like not everybody's a hero in a comic. You know what I mean? It's like. Like, I could totally see, how someone could lose their wife or their other and just not give
and throw everything into their work.
And not give a crap. And then just still be so pissed and then just throw everything away at the end. You know what I mean? Like it could happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I tend to like stories like that, like movies and stories more like that, because it's not your cookie cutter. It's not the hero wins all the time and everything's happy and everything is a happy ending. I mean, you have to have more realistic stuff. And I mean, I don't know, it just listening to you guys talk about it, it just made me think like, you know, that's cooler.
It could be.
Then, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe not cooler, but it's just a change of pace.
You know, even at that, as the whole story went along and certain things happened, you know, that probably hurt Tony even more, you know, there's certain deaths and things of that nature. I still never felt like it was, I felt like the story was still just taking its natural course of where the, you know, layman and stuff wanted to go, you know, type stuff. And it was more with the fact of that whole kind of last panel where you kind of go, or like I say, almost the last issue, you know, where it was like, could it have changed? Yeah, a whole lot more, you know, after 20 years or 10 years or wherever that is in the future and things. But just for where that issue goes to, you know, wrap everything up, I was like, you know, to each their own, like I think we were talking about earlier, you know, the whole, it's the path and the journey, you know, type things that are enjoyable. I still think it was a great, you know, read and a good book, you know, type stuff.
Right.
I don't hold anything, but it just didn't wrap up the way that satisfied me personally, I suppose.
Gotcha.
You know. But is it a choice? Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that, oh, this is totally awful by any means. Nah, it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still a great read.
Oh,
everything else.
The book itself.
That's right.
It's freaking
exactly
awesome.
It is.
To the bitter end.
Okay, what's next? You got anything more to say about you? It was
No,
good.
I'm good.
You loved it?
I liked it for the most part. Like I said, I think it wrapped up well. I think it did a good job.
What do you got there?
All right.
You got something? Yeah.
I watched stuff.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
remember any of it.
The Contract with God trilogy.
Kim Cotterill made. Let's just say Kim Cotterill made Don read this.
He did
book.
make me read this.
Yep.
I didn't read the entire trilogy.
What?
Life on
Contract
Dropsy
with God?
I read
Avenue.
The Contract with God, which was like the first 4 stories.
A Life
Okay.
Force.
Or 4 or 5 stories.
Yeah.
And then I read
Dropsy Avenue.
Life on Dropsy Avenue.
I read
Well,
like
you got
maybe
Dropsy Avenue down here too, so.
So it's Contract with God, Life Force, and
Force
Dropsy
and
Avenue.
Dropsy Avenue. So I read The Contract with God,
Uh-huh.
and then I read like maybe half of A Life Force.
Why would you stop? It's so good.
I don't know. I
Was it a
wasn't
good thing?
feeling it.
You really?
I really enjoyed A Contract with God,
Okay.
but I wasn't feeling it after that.
Interesting. It's really the same stuff, isn't it?
I think, I don't know.
It's very similar.
I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
it was because someone forced me to read it at gunpoint.
That's
No, anyway. Contract with the first thing that I'll have to say is like the only really exposure I've had to Will Eisner
The Spirit.
is like the Spirit.
Hmm.
Okay, and so like I know that the Spirit gets kind of like a more like adultish, kind of like, you know, the tone and kind of the way that's where I got to,
Okay.
and the kind of the tone of it is more adult. You know what I mean? Like when I'm reading the Spirit, I'm like, I can't believe this was like in a Sunday paper, like some of it. You know what I mean? Because it was like strips or whatever. But the thing that really blew me away here is how adult it is. I mean, he's got like nudity in it. He's dealing with all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, really? Will Eisner is like drawing naked chicks and stuff, and they're like having sex, and I'm like, okay. But now Scott picks it up.
Now I'm gonna pick it up.
Scott
Yeah.
wants to look at it.
Jeez.
But I mean, that's the only thing that kind of really blew me away right off the bat was, wow, this is like you know, mature, which it's great. I mean, whatever. It's not like, oh yeah, it's great. It's fine. It's just it kind of threw me off that I didn't put that with Will Eisner like
Okay.
in my brain. But no, the book was really good. So like the first story, it's broken up into like 4 stories. The first story is A Contract with God. So there's this Jewish guy, and he lives over somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where. And he's like a kid, and he's really helpful around the neighborhood and all this stuff, and like everybody loves him, and so like the whole community gets up enough money to like send him to America. And so like I think it's like right before he leaves, he makes a contract with God, like sits down and writes out a contract with God. I don't think they ever tell you exactly what the contract with God is, but he writes a contract with God. And so he goes over, he gets on a boat or whatever and comes over to the United States, and he comes into Ellis Island, and he ends up falling into another Jewish community, and they bring him in, and he's like, you know, doing everything right, he's being a good guy, he's doing all this stuff, and then they leave a baby at his door, a daughter, like he gets a child left at his door, and he takes the kid and he raises her and everything, and then I think it's where the book starts, because I think that's how it starts and it backtracks. But anyway, at some point,
to start there.
At some point, the daughter dies.
Oh wow!
And I can't remember exactly how she dies, but he gets all pissed off. He's like, "I made this contract with you. How did you let my kid die?" You know, and so he basically tears up the contract with God or throws it out the window, and then he turns into like this, just a ass. Like money, he's making money now, he doesn't care about anything, and he gets really successful, and he's like screwing people over, and like makes all this money, and then he ends up dying. I think he has like a heart attack or something, and so then this another kid walks by and picks up the contract with God or whatever. So it's kind of like he did everything right, it didn't work out, then he turned around and did everything wrong, and it still didn't work out. Well, no, because he went to him afterwards, like after he made all the money, he went to like the Jewish leaders and said he wanted to write a new contract with God, and they had to write it down, and he would give them like this building or something, because anyway, it's kind of like a full circle. Yeah, do you remember this at all?
Oh, very vaguely.
Okay.
You read this all before?
Yeah, Will Eisner published
his
like
book.
Oh, this
like,
is yours?
Yeah.
Like 8 or 10 of these like little graphic novels, and they're all kind of similar but
little.
different.
That's all
3
collected
together.
Oh, okay.
But
let me see it real quick.
I mean, they're each probably like 150 pages.
But that's like the main story, and then you have.
I read them all, most of them anyway. They're all similar. They're pretty cool. I like them all a lot. They're very slice of life, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one that I enjoyed a lot was called like The Neighborhood. And it kind of opened my... It's interesting because it kind of teaches you something as well about how life was back then. In the 1920s or 30s. But The Neighborhood was really cool because it was basically a comic about this neighborhood. And it turned out the neighborhood was like a real kind of upscale neighborhood, you know? And then it was like... It took place over like 50, 60 years or something. And you saw the lives of these people in this comic book over 60 years and how the neighborhood changed. How like... It's kind of like... how all neighborhoods change. How, you know, these houses have these upscale, you know, houses, and they're kind of like their new place to live. And then over like 20 years, you know, those people get older and their kids grow up and move away, you know, and then as those old people die, it's like neighborhoods kind of start to degrade or something. Like the people that come in are like lower economic, you know, and so it's kind of how it's kind of like the life cycle of a neighborhood, how it kind of, and then it was funny at the end of the book, this neighborhood, it got like redone to where it was now a highfalutin, you know, redone type of neighborhood again, because it was like in New York where it's like an apartment building or something. So it was kind of interesting. And then I looked around, I'm like, you know, I kind of see that with like my parents' neighborhoods, you know, how like, you know, where they lived, it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was like high up, because I'm very middle class obviously, but it wasn't like highfalutin, but it was kind of like a nicer kind of suburban type neighborhood. Well, now I look at where they live, it's like it's kind of gone downhill quite a bit, you know what I mean, as far as, you know, I don't want to be like one of those people that says, you know, quality of people or whatever, but I mean just the economic, you know, stature of the people in that neighborhood has kind of declined, I would say, from what it was at some point.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's interesting how neighborhoods kind of do that. So anyway, it was a cool book, but that's not in this.
No.
Obviously.
And then, so like the second story is the street singer.
Uh-huh.
It's this guy, he's like drunk all the time, and he goes around just like singing like in alleys.
Yeah.
And this
sounds like that horrible movie by the Coen brothers.
This lady
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, really? I've never seen that.
Oh,
this lady like hears him sing, and she's like, "Oh, your voice is so beautiful," and she brings him up to her apartment or whatever, and she's like a singer promoter or something. She's like, "I can make you rich and famous, blah blah blah," and so she's like brings him up, and then she tells him all this stuff, and he's like, "Okay," well, she's like, "We'll come back, you know, tomorrow night or whatever. Well, he goes home, and of course he's married, and he's got a wife and a little kid, and the wife is yelling at him because he doesn't have a job, and he was out drinking, and he kind of roughs her up a little bit or whatever, and then he's like, fine, well, I'm going to be famous, and he goes out, and he realizes that he didn't remember, like, where she lived. So, like, he gets screwed. They're all kind of like little short stories where everybody gets screwed, and so then, like, the third one is called The Super, and it's about the superintendent that lives in the basement of this house, apartment building, and he treats everybody bad, and there's this little girl. This one got really weird too. So there's this little girl. She's like living, I don't know, she's like 9 or 10 maybe, I don't know. And she's like, she lives in the apartment, and she's giving him a hard time. And so she comes down, and he goes into his house, his apartment, and it turns into like, she like starts asking him if he wants to like watch her get undressed or something. And so she like tricks him. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And then, like, she starts screaming, like, this guy attacked me, like, this old guy. And so, like, the cops come and, like, arrest this guy. So, I mean, and then the last one was it's called Kukaline. Basically, it's almost like it reminded me of, like, the old Christmas story where the wife doesn't have any money and the husband doesn't have any money. And so, like, she cuts her hair to buy him something, and then he buys her.
Gift of the Magi?
Yeah.
There you go.
So basically, it's in what? This is all kind of set like in what, the 1920s, like the Depression?
30s, yeah, kind of that
So,
era.
like, nobody has any money, and so, like, it's a big deal. Like, in the summer, everybody that lives in the city goes out to, like, these... They're like farms, but they're kind of like country clubs, but they're like vacation spots where all the rich people go.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, all the people that live in the city will go out there to make money because they have jobs, like summer job, almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so there's a guy that lives in the city, and he's going out there to find a rich wife. And there's a lady that's going out there to find a rich husband, because all the women go out there to work or go there to pretend like they're rich so they can get a rich husband.
Yeah.
And so anyway, she falls in love with him, and he kind of likes her because they both think the other one's rich. And the guy turns out to be like a real ass. Surprise, surprise. But there's another guy that's kind of like more homely or whatever, and he's always trying to be nice to the girl, and she keeps brushing him off, because she doesn't think he's not good looking, and she doesn't think he's rich. Well, it turns out he's the one that's like the doctor, and he's rich. Well, the guy that is pretending to be rich, looking for a rich wife, like, he beats the crap out of her, and like, I don't know if it sexually assaults her, but beats her up, and then the other guy swoops in, and he's like, I'll protect you, and I'll keep... And so she ends up with the right... I don't know, it's just one of them. Like, she ends up with that guy, because he's like, well, I'll take care of you, and she's like, but I was so mean to you, and he's like, you're so beautiful. I'm just like, but... Anyway, that's the gist of the book. It was good. The art's really good, obviously. I mean, it was really, like Drew said, slice of life, but you really do kind of, what little I read, you kind of get a history, a feel of the time kind of stuff. But it's definitely worth reading.
Cool. I just have a couple more things. Since I finished all my stuff a while back, I don't remember that, I did read a bunch of stuff on the Marvel Unlimited app the last few days. So I'll talk about some of that. I decided to read all of Bendis' Guardians of the Galaxy.
I want to do that.
Run.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. I like it.
I
started it when the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was coming out, so I was like, I'm going to get into Guardians of the Galaxy. So I figured I'd start with because I really liked the beginning of Bendis' run, and then I kind of, my Marvel Unlimited app ran out, and I let it expire because I was kind of getting burnt out, and so I kind of got back into it. So I started reading from the beginning. It starts out really good. They had the whole trial of Jean Grey, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
They tie into Original Sin. Then they do that whole Black Vortex thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which I just read the Guardians of the Galaxy issues of it. I didn't read, like, all the tie-ins and
I read
stuff.
the X-Men, but not the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I didn't really care for the Black Vortex that much. It was kind of... It felt just... I don't know. Just didn't feel like it had much going for it. But anyway, that series ends, and then it goes to Volume 2. And I started reading Volume 2, and it was still pretty good. I enjoyed it. And then it ties into Civil War 2. And I'm like, oh, crap, I guess I better read Civil War 2 because I had no idea what happened in Civil War 2. So I read all of Civil War 2, which I actually kind of enjoyed. It still felt, the whole premise of it just felt so like forced and set up.
Yes.
You know?
It was
It's
Civil
like, let's
War
come up
One.
with, I know, let's come up with a moral dilemma but change the sides and let's steal Minority Report's plot.
Yeah.
But use an Inhuman to do it, and it was just like, okay, whatever. But I mean, I thought the art was really good, and I thought the story itself was well done. I just thought the premise of the story was kind of lame. But it was funny, I was reading on the Marvel Unlimited app, and it's like 8 issues, right? So I get to issue 7, and it's like, oh, the big, 8 issue. I go click next, it's like, oh, that's not available on the app yet. I'm like, what? All this build up and it's like, do you want to pay $4.99 for it? I'm like, I'm not paying $4.99 for this book. So I waited, and then like that was like on Sunday or whatever. And then Monday, my iPad goes, new comics on Marvel Unlimited app, Civil War 2 number 8. I'm like, oh sweet, it just came out or whatever. So it was like perfect timing. So I finished it up. It was pretty good. I'm not gonna. If you don't know what happened, I'm not gonna tell you. It doesn't matter.
I read it and I don't remember what happened.
And so then I kept reading, and
I
then
bet you somebody dies.
and I got to the volume.
Is that the
2.
one where War Machine died?
He dies in the very beginning.
Okay.
They pretty much kill half the Avengers in that book, pretty much.
Do they?
Did they really?
Well, yeah, because Bruce Banner dies in
Oh,
issue
yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah, they did kill a bunch of
And then
people.
at the end, spoiler alert, Iron Man dies. So, well, I guess he's in a coma, and they don't.
Tony
I don't even
Stark?
remember Iron Man dying.
Tony Stark is like in a coma, and I guess he's not necessarily dead, but they think they can't do anything to him because he's like, if they touch him, he could die or whatever. So
Okay.
he's pretty
Maybe I didn't
immobilized
read
and
the end
incapacitated.
of
So I
it.
guess he's not
I
technically
don't
dead.
remember that.
But yeah, so
I was not.
And Captain
impressed.
America's part of Hydra
So I got-
and everything
Yeah,
else.
but that's Secret Empire.
Oh,
So Guardians of the Galaxy was pretty good in Volume 2 as well, because they're kind of in space and they're doing stuff, and they're dealing with like Star-Lord Spartax Empire, because he becomes the president of the Spartax Empire and everything. Well, then Civil War 2 happens, and Carol Danvers, Ms. Marvel, calls them, or whatever she calls herself these days, Carol Danvers, calls them back to help because they're on her side. And so they come back. Well, then the whole series, like, it's about them being on Earth because their ship gets blown up, so they're stuck on Earth. So then they start doing these one-shots with each character stuck on Earth, and it's like, now it's kind of lame. Because the whole reason I read Guardians of the Galaxy is I want, like, Star Wars, high space, swashbuckling adventure type stuff.
And now they're stuck on Earth.
So
So now it's like, oh wow.
yeah, I'm not, like, totally cool on
Is
that.
Star-Lord going out with Kitty Pryde?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
But they're kind of on again, off again. And then the Thing joins the
What?
Guardians of the Galaxy
Kitty
at
Pryde?
some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like
Yeah,
in
when they
Colossus.
ended the Fantastic Four, they threw
Yeah.
the Thing in with
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. There is I will say one thing about this is, especially in the second volume, Valerio Schiti, or however you say that guy's name. He's the artist.
Yeah.
He does like all the issues on like a whatever monthly schedule. I'm very impressed with his work ethic, and I mean I like his art. Okay, he's not like my favorite, but I'm just impressed that he did that many issues.
He
Like,
probably draws digital.
he probably does, but I don't care. I mean, that's still pretty impressive.
No, it is impressive.
Yes.
that he's doing that
In
much.
this day and age, it's very impressive.
That's what it takes. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed with that.
Just kidding.
But yeah, it was pretty good.
So there's 2 volumes of the Bendis.
Yeah, there's like 27 issues, and then there's a second volume, and the Marvel Unlimited apps goes to like 15, but I think they're up to like 20. And now they've relaunched it again.
Yeah, I know. I was
Third
going to
volume.
say how many
The third
volumes
volume?
are there.
Yeah, which I think is more back to basics or whatever. There was a cool story in the first volume, I think, where Venom gets called back because Flash Thompson, who has the Venom symbiote or whatever,
Yeah.
he gets called
Flash
back.
does?
Yeah, Flash
Oh,
Thompson does.
Jesus Christ.
But he gets called back to like the planet somehow. He meets like the symbiote race, and they're actually not that bad of people. Apparently, the reason this symbiote's been acting up is because it's been disconnected from the hive mind or whatever.
Oh,
So they get it all like aligned, and then it becomes like this cool, super like Iron Man type Venom suit that can do all this new stuff or whatever.
yeah.
He becomes kind of a badass. So it's kind of cool. It gets like a whole new look to it and everything. It looks more like
He's
armor.
a hero.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, they're hitting Venom hard now. They've
Oh,
gone back.
yeah.
They're doing like
Yeah.
Venomverse, Edge of
Yeah,
Venomverse.
Venom's
There's
all
like
over.
all kinds of Venom.
And then the
crap
other
going
thing,
on.
are you guys pretty much done, or you want to talk about one?
I
more
was
thing?
just gonna. I'll be real brief.
I got one more thing to talk about, and then.
No, I really will be.
But
real
go ahead,
brief.
be brief. I was.
Okay, well, I just wanted to send some local love. So, like, I picked this up at Smallville. It's by Denny Roth. It's called Marshall Starr. It's his first comic. It is a web
Did
comic.
it just come out? Because I didn't
Well-
realize Denny was putting out a comic.
I think he's been doing it on the web.
Oh, okay,
So I think it's a web comic, but he collected, like, the first chapter.
cool.
Dude, his art is, like, he stepped up his game with that book, man.
I remember he was doing that weird kind of
really
Godzilla book or
good.
something. But
Like, it's really manga,
yeah,
but the art, I mean, that book could come out from Image, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's a book. I mean, it's good. It's a lot of action. It's basically this, they have the marshals, like, in outer space kind of thing.
when I first saw it, it made me think of Brave Star or something.
Yeah, it's very anime manga, but
I
it's
do like
really
that art style.
good. I mean, we've known Denny for what, 4?
He was at the first haircut.
Yeah, first air cap, and so like I mean, and I've seen his prints and stuff, but I mean, I was just not that he's not a great artist, but man, I was just really blown away with the.
Cool. I like it
with
when
the
I mean
artwork.
I like artists that do prints. I mean that's cool and all, but I like it when they actually put out a book.
Yeah,
Something of
I know.
original
narrative.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean,
Because that's kind of where my kind of passion.
tastes are. Yeah.
but it's really really cool. I'm sure you can get them. If you see them at a convention, I think you can get them online. I think they have a store. So, I mean, just Google the DR Studios, I think, or Denny Roth on Facebook, or Marshall Starr. But, yeah, it was great. I was really impressed with it.
That cover
Cool
is
stuff.
amazing.
It looks
Yeah.
fun. I'd like
Yeah.
to read it.
You guys should definitely check that book out. And then also, I always got to pump this guy, Cam Cotterill, the guy that made me read Contract with God. He does a book called Mr. Right. It's just awesome. This one actually made me giggle out loud. One of the jokes. It's so funny. So it's like, it's his brother, right? That's in
Yeah.
a suit.
Uh-huh.
And so this group, they're like the Justice League. I don't remember what the hell they're called. But like they call him in again. They're like, okay, we're going to ask you for like the 5th and last time to join our group. And he's like, what? He's like, what are you talking about? You've never asked me to join your group. it's the brother.
Yeah.
And so, you know how he's always, the real Mr. Right is always real humble. And he's like, so you asked me 4 times before? He's like, why did I say no? And they're like, well, you just said you're not worthy and you're just, you're not worthy to be with us and all this other stuff. And the Superman type guy is just pushing his buttons because he doesn't want to be, because the Superman guy's like, I can do anything Mr. Right can do. I have all of his powers. He's like, oh yeah, well, can you do this? And he's like, yeah. Well, can you do this? He's like, yeah. And he's like, well, I have X-ray vision. He's like, no, you don't. He's like, yeah, I do. It's hilarious. There's a bit in there where he's talking. He's like, oh, I have super strength. He's like, yeah. He's like, I punched a planet one time. And he's like, you punched a planet. He's like, why? He's like, the planet made me mad. He's like, an entire planet made you angry? He's like, yeah, I punched it. He's like, how far did you punch it? He's like, it moved like, I don't know, like 4 inches. And the guy's like, oh, so you just moved it 4? He's like, well, it made their days like 4 minutes longer or something. I mean, that book is just great. I mean, the way Kim does the dialogue and the comedy, I mean, if you guys have not read Mr. Right, you have got to read it.
Well, don't spoil it. I'm gonna read it. I didn't go to Smallville, so I didn't get the copy. You told like everything I had.
I told everything that happened. Yes.
Pretty much. Ah, jerk.
Anyway, just awesome stuff.
Asshole.
Yes,
the other
he punched
thing.
the planet.
The other thing I read, I decided to reread Craven's Last Hunt.
Ooh.
Have you read
That's
that,
a good
Scott?
choice.
No.
Oh.
God, that's a good choice.
So anyway, it holds up really good.
Yeah.
It's very solid. Basically, the premise is it's Craven the Hunter, who's been an adversary of Spider-Man forever, decides he's finally gonna show Spider-Man that he can beat him. So he like captures him, and he has the opportunity to kill him. But instead of killing him, he buries him alive. He buries him alive for 2 weeks. He puts on his costume, becomes Spider-Man. He goes finds a villain, the Vermin, who Spider-Man can barely defeat with Captain America's help, and beats the hell out of him, whatever. And then Spider-Man comes out of his grave, and Kraven says, see, look, here's this guy who you couldn't defeat. I defeated him. And then he has Spider-Man fight him, and Spider-Man won't fight him and loses. And so Kraven's like, see, I've proved that I am better than you in every way, so I can die now. And then he blows his head off. Kraven blows his own head off.
Yeah.
Really?
Commits
Eats
suicide.
a
Yeah.
Yep.
With a shotgun. And so
Mike
that's
Zeck.
yeah.
That's all I have to say,
It's
dude.
drawn by Mike Zeck, who never did a lot of interiors. He had his
No.
long run on Captain America, and then he did Secret Wars miniseries, and then he kind of did this. And this one has actually been recolored similar to what they did on some special hardcover they did, which isn't the greatest recoloring, but it's still interesting. But
that sounds like the dumbest freaking story ever.
Really.
Dude, it's good.
It's really good. It's really well done, and it's got a lot of.
It's basically Craven.
It's Craven's last one.
Yeah, Craven is like the hunter. He hunts everything.
I know Craven is.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's a really good story.
I'm not trying to diss your comic skills.
Oh, no, you're totally fine there. You can diss a whole lot of that type stuff. But I actually do know Craven of all of Spider-Man's
He's the one that hasn't been the
enemies.
movie, so.
That is true.
It was really
well, back in the day when Todd McFarlane rebooted, Spider-Man or whatever type things, one of the very first stories in there was a Craven story. Yeah.
Really?
And of course that was all the thing at the time, because I think it was somewhere there in the early 90s or something like that, or whenever that happened.
When he did Spider-Man, it was Craven, because remember it was his the girl Craven was bringing Craven back.
I just remember Voodoo.
Torment.
Yeah, Torment.
Yes.
Voodoo, yeah.
He was bringing Craven back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's the only reason, because of the fact of thanks to McFarlane, and I guess that's where I was going. His reboot of Spider-Man, that was there in the big boom of comics.
That's why she had to bring Craven
back. And so, of course, it was like, ooh, wow, now's my chance. It's like a #1 issue of Spider-Man, of all people.
That stuff worked.
And so, that's right. Well, because of the fact that I was like, shoot, for me, what? By issue 500 and something of Spider-Man, or by issue 1, hey, well, this seems to be a good jumping on point.
It's all your fault, Scott.
Yeah, and that's why they have a new #1 all the time.
That's why they had to bring Craven
back. Actually, Image, that was the big fault of things. But anyway, Spider-Man and stuff, that's why I actually know some of Spider-Man.
Well, this is the story that Craven died when that lady in that story had to bring him back to life.
Okay. He died in that one. Okay.
Yeah. She bring him back and he's like a zombie or something. Or he doesn't want to be there and then he kills himself again.
I don't remember the Torment story, I'm sorry.
I don't remember very well.
Even though
I tried to have my son talk him into reading them, but
there's too many words.
So
that's
not his problem.
Though.
Oh. Well,
he likes to read.
So does my son.
I think
those
there's too many
old comics
pictures.
with too many words.
So, I don't.
It doesn't flow very well.
I just don't think he likes the pictures.
Okay.
I don't know.
That could be.
Yeah.
That was a pretty dark story, though.
It was pretty dark for the time. Yeah,
I would imagine so.
And I think J.M. DeMatteis wrote it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
He did a lot of cool narrative things. I asked on Facebook, but no one gave me an answer except for someone gave me kind of a smart answer. But I was thinking, when did they start using caption boxes as narration of a person in the story, as opposed to just like a omniscient narrator? And because this story used it a lot. And it was cool because it was like different issues were a different narrator. Like one issue had Spider-Man as a narrator, one issue had Craven as a narrator, I think one issue had Vermin as a narrator.
Cameron Kiefer commented, original graphic novel.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thanks, Cameron.
So, cool.
I only put that on there as a test to see if it actually showed
you didn't
up.
know what an OGN was, Don.
I'm the one that told you when we were going through the preview. Whatever.
Anyway.
Thanks, Cameron.
Cameron's the best.
He is.
Alright, so
what else you got? Anything?
That's all I got.
You don't want to give a quick synopsis of the crap you read a month ago that you don't remember?
I can't remember enough, so I'm just going to let it go.
What about the Invincible?
Well, you're probably going to read that. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Is that the end? Is that
there's one more.
Oh, there's one more after this?
Oh,
Jiminy Christmas.
And you're probably a couple hardcovers
behind. I am a lot back.
I'm a lot hardcovers behind.
So, anyway.
Let's have to sit down and read it all at once.
Same with Revival.
Do you read the hardcovers?
I was for a while.
I thought you bought single issues.
No, I never
what?
bought
You never bought Invincible.
What? You buy everything.
I know. Not Invincible, though. The one thing I should have bought.
That's probably true.
It's true.
The one regret.
One regret. Yeah, you have lots of regrets.
Oh, yeah.
Your life is full of regrets.
It is.
Okay.
The Invincible is the least of my worries.
Yes. Cool.
But art kicks ass.
Well, I think that's all I have.
That's all I have.
Do you guys have anything else?
No.
I just said that's all I have.
All right, cool. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll wrap this episode up, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
Yay!
Sweet.
I'll try to read something.